I hope so. I hope so. All right, here we are. And let's see, and I would like to welcome everyone. Cortese, I'm the chairman of the ZBA. These are the board members. Would y'all like to introduce yourself?
My name is Mason Brooks.
I'm Don Barnhart.
I'm Lyndon Roberts Galindo, Vice Chair.
Terry Jackson.
Richard Rivas.
Thank you. And the first thing I need to do is go over the agenda items and go by the checklist on the agenda on how we're supposed to do things and all that kind of stuff. They won't listen to how I want to do that. But I don't blame them. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. And we've got to establish that the quorum is present, and we do have a quorum. 6. We're allowed 7. 6 means we go under a supermajority type of setup, where if 5 of us want something and the 6th person does not and they vote nay, then that kills the 5 of our votes, even though we went yay. Someone's shaking their head back there. You don't agree with it either? I don't either. But, you know, anyhow, we can't get people to sit in that chair there. We're supposed to even have alternates. I wish any of y'all ever want to have fun, come on up and join us. But anyhow, we have established that the quorum is present, and we're going to do the elections first. All right. So, we're going to do that for public comment. Right? Wasn't public comment going to be the first thing usually?
Well, this is our first year that we've had the public comment at the beginning when it impacts elections.
Okay.
So we put the elections first, but.
Y'all gonna get to watch elections. ZBA. All right, Mr. Benoit or Mr. Brandon, which is our city attorney, one of our city attorneys, by the way, even though, it doesn't look like we like each other. But, and I have the undue respect for him, by the way. He's got a job to do. So go on. So, we do this election once a year, so I don't have it to memory.
Yes, sir.
And I haven't studied this part of it. I've been studying the cases all weekend. So go ahead and lead me on what I need to do.
So I think first would be appropriate to ask the board if anyone has any nominations for the board chair.
Okay.
And if so, then you could see if there's a nomination and a second, see if there's any other nominations, and then have a vote.
All right.
Then you could move on to vice chair at that point.
Start with chair, vice chair, and that's it.
Yes, sir.
Just the 2. All right. Do I
Yes,
hear
sir.
any nominations for chairman?
I nominate Gary Cortez as chair.
It's Cortez.
Cortez.
But my friends call me Bubba.
Oh, my goodness. I'll second Bubba's nomination.
Thank you, by the way. All right. We have a motion for Gary Cortez to be chairman. In a second, and I guess I'll go to the vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? One kills the deal, right?
Not on these elections.
Thought I'd ask,
Good question.
All right, okay, on the next one, we're gonna have for the vice chair, I need to do we have a recommendation or nomination for vice chair? Do I hear one? I'm not allowed to do it, right?
I think you
Well,
are.
Well,
You are.
Make a
I'll
motion.
let the board members go first, and if,
Make a motion to nominate Lyndon.
there's a motion to nominate.
I second.
And there's a second, and so we'll have the vote. There's a nomination for Ms. Galindo to be the vice chair. Bless your heart. So I'm going to go for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Being none. Oh, by the way, I didn't say opposed on the chair, did I?
Yes,
No?
you did.
Did I? Okay. All right, so is that over? Done. I want double overtime paycheck on this, okay? Mr. Benoit,
All right, check at 0.
you mean our check is still 0? Okay.
Your check is still 0.
All right, now we're going to item number 3, public comment. I have to read it into the record here. So issues or concerns not on the regular agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, address comments to the dais, begin by stating their name and address or single-member district, and limit all remarks to less than 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment?
Not for this section, no.
Not for that. So I'm going to close public comment. I'm going to open item number 4 and review and take any action related to minutes, records of the regular meeting held Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Has the board looked over the minutes? I have. Any questions? There being none, I need to take
I
a
will
vote.
make a motion to approve the minutes.
There's a
Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval. Go for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There being none, passes 6-0. Moving on to item number 5, ZBA 25-02, the view at the Bluffs, lots 1 through 14 and 17 through 33, section 27, tract G. A request for approval of variance from section 501.A for a lot width variance of 31 lots in the 0 lot line twin home residential RS-3 zoning district in lieu of the required 40 feet located north of SFM 2288 and Stratford Avenue. This includes a request for a width of 33.96 feet on lot 1, 35 feet on lots 2 through 14, 17 through 25, 29, and 31 through 33, and 34.99 feet on lots 26 to 28 and 30, period. Welcome. Ray?
So this case brought to you is in the Bluffs. It is District 6, Larry Miller. It is zoned RS3. The vision plan is neighborhood, and it is a request for multiple lot widths less than 40 feet. We did mail out 12 notifications. We received 1 in favor. We technically received 4 in opposition because I received 1 here today that is within the 200-foot notification. 13 of them we received outside the notification area. You should also have a packet of them printed out.
Just to clarify, 13 oppositions outside the 200 feet area.
Yes. So this is the plat that has the dimensions on it. It does have 33 lots, and we are not including, I believe it's 2 of them. This one down here is okay, and I believe this one was okay. The rest, so in our city ordinance, we have under RS3 zoning, you're allowed 0 lot line homes, twin homes, and townhouses. The townhouses, the size of the lot has to be 25 by 75, which they all meet except for 3, and 3 of them received a variance for it. And then the twin homes and 0 lot line homes have to be 40 by 60. So I went out and took some pictures. Staff has met with the applicant with all the opposition we received. And so we tried to come to a consensus. After going out there, taking some pictures, looking at the topography and the curve and everything, staff has changed their recommendation to try to help the opposition. With right now, currently as is, they are able to build twin homes, or not townhouses. There is nothing stopping them from building townhouses. To help with the opposition, and like I said, because of the curve and some of the topography issues that they were having, in order to build townhouses, you have to have between 3 and 8 connected, and some of the curve and the topography, like I said, makes that difficult. So that is their hardship, and to help with the opposition, twin homes allows for a yard. And so with a townhouse, you really don't have a yard, so they were thinking of putting a deck on the second floor. We didn't think that would be very nice to the neighbors, so having a yard and being able to do the twin homes and the curve and some of the topography issues. With that, I'm going to still show pictures. So staff is recommending approval of the variance for a lot with, I think 34 is the lowest, for all the lots mentioned.
So I have a question for you. On the 0 lot line, you said that is 40 by 60. Is that what a twin home falls in also? Or
Yes.
do they have their own?
Nope, 0 lot line and twin home are together. They are both under the 40/60.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question. You say there's 3 of them that don't fall in the right size?
That was under the townhouses.
So three
And they
would
got
have
the
to be-
variance.
Three would have to be, they would have to be in order, like
Cor-
connected.
Oh, yes, correct.
Can you
So-
show us on the map
So,
which ones they are?
So now he's not,
guess-
now the builder is not asking for townhouses, he's asking for duplexes.
so originally, they were already planning on doing twin homes. We had the lot size incorrect. He met lot sizes for townhouses, not twin homes. So twin homes is what he is wanting to build.
Okay. Was that in the plating stage or when was, you said it was incorrect?
Yes. Staff, it was misunderstood. RS3 allows all of it. So it was kind of understood that when we received this plat, he was going for townhouses since it met townhouses. But it wasn't, he was going for twin homes.
Okay, thank you.
How long has the plat been recorded that way?
It was recorded in '22.
For the townhome overall preliminary plat, back to the preliminary plat and original plat. And I have the whole plat from 1984, it's not signed, and it always said townhomes on there, even then.
Yeah,
Right.
this one that we are looking at
So
was.
this is still falls under the townhome classification, it's just sort of R3 or whatever.
RS3 encompasses a mall.
Yeah, okay.
So it was allowed, except for it just didn't meet the lot sizes.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's not changing any of that, okay.
So I'm reading through the packet, and on page 3, I see your recommendation originally was.
Was denial.
So you've explained, can you, third grade was the best 3 years of my life. Can you explain it as though what changed between when this was made public and today?
Well, all the opposition we received over the weekend had us want to meet with the applicant to see if there was anything we could do to help. And so it was kind of the city working with the applicant and what do we think? Because regardless of what happens here, they can build something. And so it's just townhouses or twin homes. And so it was kind of and then looking at the pictures and the curve, like I said, that's a pretty substantial curve. So it was just kind of discussed.
So all the depths of the lots are good
Yes,
with the size? Okay.
yes.
Mr. Rivas, did you get your question answered?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Ray, do you mind going just to the plat?
Yes.
And so, Mr. Rivas, if you look at any 3 of those lots together, the townhouse means that each one of those houses has to cross that lot line and are connected,
Okay.
thus eliminating any kind of side yard. What they want to do is to receive the variance for a smaller lot size and do a twin house which straddles that lot line with a duplex. One would be on one lot, one would be on the other, and both of those lots would then have a 10-foot side yard setback, allowing for a side yard as opposed to an upper terrace deck or something, bigger in the backyard. Because the property does, as Ray mentioned, the topography, when you start going to the east, that property slopes significantly. While it looks like they're really long, it slopes down into that drainage area, and so backyards are not as easily made for these structures. While it meets the zoning ordinance, because it's just looking in 2D, not in 3D, it may meet the zoning ordinance. We believe, after discussing with the applicant and hearing from the neighborhood, that moving forward with a variance to allow the twin house is a better option than what was what could be done right now today without without a decision here.
Okay.
Hopefully that clarifies for you a little bit. Yes, sir.
Does that answer? All right, any more questions from the board? You good? All right. Thank you, Ray. Okay, excuse me.
And Chairman, before, I know you're about to open public comment. We do have the applicant and their representatives here. I don't know if you want to hear from them first or if you want to hear from the citizens in the area first.
My checklist says open public comment.
Yes, sir?
Yes, let's open for public comment. That's the public.
Okay.
Step
so-
up, need your, I'm sorry, that we'd have another procedure on that.
We do have the applicants, I believe, here if they would like to speak first. Yeah, Zane Willard, if you'd like.
Sir, state your name for the record. Welcome.
Zane Willard. I'm not a single-member district. I'm in the county, so.
Okay.
Well,
What is your position on this?
sir,
What is your position on this? On the
I'm in favor of the variance.
Okay, you're the applicant, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
So I think where the confusion is that we're not asking to change the lot sizes. We're asking what structure we can build on the property, meaning, and I've got some pictures. Aaron, your next investment in technology is so we can bring something, put it up on the board here. So if we do townhomes, here you go, you can pass it around to everybody here. And I've just kind of taken some pictures of some that we've done. If we go side to side, they'll be 35 foot wide, each one of them. Townhomes will be 3 to 4 units. No ability to have a yard. And I'm more concerned about the side over there that faces where the residents are at. As you mentioned, Mr. Cortez, this has been zoned for this since 1984. So it was inevitable sooner or later somebody was going to build up here. So the decision today isn't whether we build or not, it's what we build. By doing a twin home or a zero lot line, it gives us the ability to have nothing on the back, meaning no backyard. In those pictures right there, you'll see that we'll create a nice side yard. So if the house ends up being 60 to 70 foot deep, you got a 10 by 60 foot yard, which helps the neighbors to have more privacy. And that was our goal for asking for the change. If you go and look at the zoning, the way it's worded on the city website, I tried to print all this off, it gets pretty complicated.
Yes, it does.
But zero lot line, twin home, and townhomes all fall under RS3. Where we made the mistake, and when the plat was drawn up, we did them all on 35 foot, thinking that they were all the same. But if you get lower and lower down into their charts and graphs, you finally find out that the zero lot line and the twin home, which are the two that we would like to build, they have to be on a 40-foot lot. The townhomes can be on a 25-foot wide lot. Since we're at 35 foot, we didn't realize that. We've done several of these in the past. And it was our mistake, or we would have made them a different lot size back in the beginning. We even looked at rechanging the plat, but the utilities are already in, meaning the water taps, the sewer taps, the electrical, so there's really no way of changing it. So the variance is just to allow a zero or a twin home to be built on the 35-foot lots as they're currently laid out.
Mr.
And
Miller,
to-
can I interject here a second? So what you're passing around is what you were going to do first? Or is this?
Correct, yeah, that's something that we've currently done in San Angelo. That's on Holiday Street. You could go over there and look at it. There's some at the bottom that are twin homes. I heard somebody a while ago talk about duplex. This is important. We're not building duplexes. A twin home is one common wall, 2 separate lots. So you could sell either side. A duplex is on one lot You have to sell it as one, and you own both doors. In this scenario, whether we do townhomes, twin homes, or zero lot line, each lot will have its own personal address.
So you're specifically asking, I guess, maybe I'm a little confused on what you're requesting. Is it for twin homes or is it for?
Either or, twin homes or zero lot, they fall under the same auspice of, if you read the request, we could do, because in that scenario, you get a 10-foot side yard. A twin home, the same thing. That was originally what we had submitted, but I think for the neighbor's sake, I would prefer to do the zero lot line because it guarantees every one of them has its own private yard. So when you're looking at, most of the windows in this scenario would be looking at your neighbor's common wall. They sit on the property line, and that's the best way to avoid neighbors from being, the only thing they'll see is a window and a house being up there.
So but again, what you're passing to us, like this right here, is what you have done on Holiday Drive, did you say?
Yes, sir.
And what you're proposing to do out there in this case is not this, or it's gonna be something?
No, it would be that. So if you took that, the way we connect them in between, instead of even doing a cedar
Okay.
privacy fence, we're doing a brick wall.
Okay.
Totally blocks it off for perpetuity. You have something that
So what we're
homeowners
looking
don't
at
have
here
to
is the
deal
same
with
thing.
it. It makes it nicer and more beautiful.
So this is what you're requesting, not this.
Correct. That right there is a townhome. So as it currently is zoned, that's all we can build because of we can actually build all three of them, but the lot sizes prohibit us from doing the one that's in your hand right now. We can only do the townhomes.
You're asking to change it to this.
Correct.
From this. Okay, that's
Yes,
what I
ma'am.
wanted to
Okay,
clarify.
this is what he's. Don't go from that. Is that clear? Everything well?
So, and just to clarify, he is not changing the zoning. The zoning allows all of this. It is
Okay.
the lot size.
Okay.
Typically is 40 foot and he's requesting
Correct.
31 lots be,
35.
35, I think 1 or 2 is 34, whatever it said in the,
And you're projecting that this is what it's gonna look like? in the
Correct.
front,
I
guess.
mean, that's kind of our
Subject to
inspiration,
change.
taller ceilings, high end. I mean, we have a specific,
That's very nice.
yes, sir.
Whoever buys it, I hope they invite me over there to sit at that bar.
We might not put the bar in there. We'll at least have the prettiness in there,
Well, I'm
so.
only gonna drink tea.
You gotta have a little inspiration somewhere.
Yeah. All right. We had the timer going, Mr. Willard. I will let you continue though, because I interjected.
Well, do you have any questions of me?
No, I think my questions have been answered. Does the board have any questions?
no.
Thank you. Continuing on with public comment.
Erica Wilde? Okay. We have a Frederick Hernandez.
Hello, sir. State your name for the record.
My name is Tom Hernandez,
Hi, Tom.
and I live at 601 Burlington. So look right here, it's lot 44. It looks like where we're at.
Your lot number what, sir? I'm sorry.
44.
44, okay.
this right here.
On the corner, yes. You were out mowing your yard the other day when I was walking it. Friday?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. I see on my camera.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read just a quick note that my wife put together. Our concern is that the more structures or however they structure it that are built, the higher chances of improper drainage from heavy rain or even a busted main that may occur. Early on, when the construction began, my wife spoke with Mr. Kevin Pate, city engineer, because of the concern of the extensive clearing of the land directly behind our home. And he assured us that all necessary steps were being taken in regards to any possible flooding. And so I guess our question is, do these changes affect any of that? On November 2nd, 2023, a main broke right where the land meets FM 2288. That water main gushed water for 3 weeks. It drenched our backyard. It saturated the side of our house and the front of our house. So we know it went underneath our foundation. We heard it on the first night. And then the dog, we have a dog, so when the dog came off the grass, was tracking prints on our patio. We called everybody, Mr. Salgado, who is the senior engineer, who informed us that it was a utility company that was responsible for the break in the main. We reached out to the mayor's office, the congressman's office, who told us we needed to reach out to the mayor's office. We reached out to PD. We reached out to the local media station. We even reached out to an individual by the name of Jeff Matheny, who is from B&B House Leveling, to find out what kind of structural damage may have been occurring because of this continuous gushing. I have a videotape, so the pictures kind of show, it's being passed around, right? The pictures kind of show that water, it was just constant. It blew my mind. I haven't been in San Angelo that long, but I know that would be a very high concern for that much water being wasted.
Can I interject?
Yes.
I'm sorry. That is not what's on the agenda. Reference to, I understand the concern about Mr. Willard building houses on the water. We need to kind of keep it directed towards what is his responsibility, and what you're talking about is what the Public Works is all about. That's the city's responsibility. We are here as a quasi-judicial board just to hear the agenda item that is on the deal. And I know it sounds like you've been getting the runaround, and I don't have the answer for you, but you've read it into the record, is all I can say. And what you're talking about, you need to speak with this gentleman over here about it, because that's a Public Works. Mr. Willard has nothing to do with that or any, and we don't either. We can't say city engineering department do double due diligence. I can say it and it'd be read in the record, but whether it happens or not, it won't. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Like you said, we have been given the runaround.
Oh, yeah.
I've lost faith in.
We all do. We all do.
I've lost faith in city council and the mayor's office here.
Yeah.
Reached out to Larry Miller as well. Reached out to a list of people who told us they were gonna get back with us, who told us they were gonna come and come physically to our home, never followed through.
Let me ask you this.
But my question is this: with all these structural changes that are being proposed, is that going to affect the way the water drains? Because unless you see it for yourself, you have no idea how high that berm is right behind our house. And that water is gonna go directly into our backyards. And was in the case with this main break, not just the backyard, but the front, the side, and underneath our homes.
I understand your concern there, sir. I really do.
So with the structural change,
It's not on this board to deal with that. I can't answer it. I wish I could. I wish I could say, we'll make sure.
Okay.
But I can't, this board is, we're quasi-judicial, we're volunteers.
Gotcha.
And we're not engineers, I'm not a lawyer. But my recommendation would be, if I heard the list you read off, you did not call the fourth floor of the city manager's office, or at least I didn't hear you say them. If you said it, I didn't hear you say it. Did you try the fourth floor? City manager, Mr. Valenzuela, and the assistant city manager, Mr. Wise?
No, we spoke to.
Okay, if you down, that's where it starts, and it works down from them.
Yeah.
To the in the hierarchy of city government.
Okay.
We are not representatives of city government, period.
Anytime we made a call to anybody, they were pointing the finger to somebody else, giving us another number to call. So nobody gave us that information at all.
Yes.
And
I've
on
been in
top of
your
that,
shoes,
nobody
sir.
seemed to
I've
be
been in your
concerned
shoes.
about it.
Yes, sir.
I think it does, whatever structural changes are gonna be made, I think it does specifically and directly affect how that water may flow.
And I want to say this, I hope that Mr. Willard's back there listening to this and will do the best he can to make sure that doesn't happen. That's all I can say, and
Okay.
that's just all I can say.
Until someone can explain that to us, we oppose.
Okay, that's fine. I appreciate
I don't
that.
know-
And
I don't
I'm
know-
sorry to have to interrupt you, but I had to kind of,
Sure.
for the sake of time.
Because we never got notification of this hearing.
You look over there.
Yeah, so we never got that notification.
We
But
truly-
I have the form, I don't know if you're counting this as an opposition.
Yeah. We can count it. So it would be 4 opposed, or 5, because the other one. And
What I was saying is, we truly appreciate your,
Yes, yes.
we
I
truly
don't-
appreciate your comment. We will definitely take.
If I had the time,
your-
I'd listen to it all. And I think, I hope Mr. Willard's back there listening and addressing it in his mind, that he'll make sure that he'll do the best he can to keep that from happening. But, you're getting into what they call Texas law there on water runoff and onto another person's property, and that is a legal issue. I'm aware of it, but I can't, that's
Just
all I am.
for clarity, can I make a comment about the?
Yes, if you want to say it into the
So-
record, you'll be going into the record now.
Correct. So AEP did poke a hole in the city's water main.
AEP did that? Okay.
On 2288, had nothing to do with us. They poked a hole in the water main. For whatever reason, when that water line was installed, they used a 9 instead of a 9.5-inch OD, outside diameter.
That was in
They couldn't find the
1984,
part for it for 2 months. So I feel this pain, it washed our road
yes.
out too. So
Yes, I'm
had
not
nothing to
denying
do
that.
with us, but there was water running from the big water tower over there for 2 months. They were able to choke it down, but there was a nice little stream that ran through there, but it was a whole different problem.
Were you
Doesn't have-
able to go out there and kind of eyeball the drainage system yourself and do that, build?
Yeah, we did a
and say,
drainage
well,
study,
okay,
everything goes
When I
into the-
build up here, I got to watch out for that
Correct.
situation, because, you never know you have a roof leak until it rains.
Correct.
On a new
correct,
construction.
yeah. So, but I think what he's saying is that for 2 months, I mean, there was a steady flow of water from the city's water tower. They couldn't stop it till they could get the parts. This was during the end of COVID time. And so there was some water issues running through. It didn't have anything to do with us though. So
No, no.
the nice thing with us, when we get a rain, it's usually one day and then we're back to dry weather. So the water ends
Yeah,
up in
but
the
it's
ponds.
usually what I like to call a peak event, rainfall.
There you go.
And,
But
but
it
you
didn't
were
have
able
anything
to,
do-
but you were able to see with your eyes the drainage happening.
Correct.
Okay,
correct,
so you're
yes.
aware of what his concerns are, and you've read into the record that it was AEP that hit it? Didn't hit the pipe?
Yeah, they were drilling to set some poles. So then, yeah.
That's all I can do.
So I hate to interrupt, you have to actually come to the
Yeah,
podium
sorry
and
about all this
speak. I
procedural
apologize, it's procedure
No,
though.
I hear the explanation, and I understand that and whose fault it was. It just shows the flow of the water,
Yes,
and that's the concern.
yes. My
What's
platform,
gonna happen, yeah, I know here in San Angelo, we pray for rain, but, that
It comes
doesn't
at
say
one
that there
time.
won't be a day that comes where we do have some torrential rain, and how's that water gonna flow? And what's gonna come of that to our neighborhood?
well, I'll keep my canoe handy, because that one rain, I mean, and it is, in engineering terms, it's called a peak event, rain events, and that's what we get in San Angelo, peak events.
So irregardless of the variance request today, we're
No,
gonna
no.
build up there and the
No, no.
water's gonna
But
go
he
there. I
has some
think that's the
concerns,
point
and He's
that,
worked the channels, and he's here asking us, and
I'll get with him
my hands
afterwards
are
and help
tied.
him some numbers, some phone numbers to help him out. But I think the nice thing, we had the rain this fall, we had 8 inches. I go every time to every job site we have to see where the water goes. We get 8 inches overnight, it went down the hill, it went out, it went into the detention ponds that are in the bluff. So we took care of the problem. The difference on this instance was that it was 2 months worth of constant water. It was a river, not a flash flood situation.
Well, that brings up a question. On that open space that's there, who maintains that? The open space behind is there a dedicated open space behind these folks' house?
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
Well,
See the green that goes back behind Stratford and goes?
well, I'm going from Old Plat here. I just,
Yeah.
there originally was.
It's gonna be a lot line, so it's gonna.
Well, what does it say? Unrestricted
says-
drainage right of way. Who
Correct.
maintains that?
That would, it appears based on the plat that would be the city of San Angelo. If it-
Appears?
That's what it appears as, is listed as right-of-way for drainage.
Hold on,
We would
hold
have,
on.
we would have to confirm that with Public Works. They're the only ones that would know that for sure. Again, as y'all discussed, that has nothing to do with the variance today. I did get
I want it
Mr.
into the record, it appears it's maintained by the city.
It is maintained by the city.
Well, it's gotta be legal documentation that says it is.
Fair enough.
That makes it a fact. Okay.
So I did get
We-
Mr. Hernandez's information. I will get that with Mr. John Kaufman, our new Water Utilities Director today. And I will give Mr. Hernandez a call back today that I have passed his information on and had let Mr. Hernandez know that he's welcome to reach out to me and we can keep moving things forward if he needs help getting with city staff.
Thank you, thank you. Does that help your indigestion, sir? I mean, I hear it, I really do. Well, you've done what you should do, and I've tried to do what I probably even stepped over my role here to get you help. And, but as far as us guaranteeing anything, that's not what we're here for, okay? Thank you. All right.
Mickey McBroom?
State your name, sir, for the record, please.
Mickey McBroom.
Say that again.
Mickey McBroom.
Okay.
Like the mouse, like you sweep at McDonald's with.
Yeah, spell the last name for me, sir. The last name?
McBroom.
McBroom, okay.
Like you sweep at McDonald's with. I'm going to ask one question, and that may end my conversation. Can I ask questions with the expectation that the developer might be able to answer them?
So you can,
I
yes,
need the-
yes and no. You can have open public comment and you can express your concern. And then if the developer wants to come back up and respond to that, then it opens
Okay,
that back
that's
up to
fair.
that.
So, Mr. Broom, you haven't questioned or asked the developer this at all? And
Yeah, I'm the new kid on the block.
Okay.
I live back
What-
on Burlington.
Can I say this?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I say this? Can you just go back after you walk back and just visit with him, see if he satisfies, and then if he wants to come read it, if you feel like he needs to read it in the record?
I would rather have, if he's able to answer them, I would rather have him answer to my neighbors here too.
You're welcome to ask the question.
Okay.
And I understand if he doesn't want to answer them, but that's
Well,
okay.
you know, he gets in that thing. I like those kind of negotiations handled
Okay.
before the meeting starts, but that's okay.
Feel free to go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, like I said, I'm the new kid on the block. When I moved here, when I looked at the house, I saw the backyard and there was nothing behind it. When I looked at the house to buy in person, not through online, we had the berm. And so I bought knowing that there was something going to be built back there, so I didn't come in surprised. What I don't understand is the lack of information that seems to be out there about what's being built. I understand it's gonna be a townhome, or it's gonna be some type of a twin home, whatever that might be. But I have no idea, I haven't seen a picture of what they're gonna look like. I feel like I'm being held hostage just a bit, because it's been stated already by two different people that we're gonna build something. But if we build this, you're gonna have a deck over the second floor looking out over your backyard. If we build this, you'll have a yard. So I feel like we're being held hostage a little bit, and this kind of reeks of something's already happened. But I'd like to know, is there any way that we can see, have any
Sorry.
pictures of what's being built?
Well,
Well, hold
So
on.
can I answer a question?
Yeah,
So-
go ahead and let him finish for a second so it can be on the record, and then if he wants to have you answer, yes.
I just would like to know what the houses are gonna look like. Are they gonna be sold? Are they gonna be rented? Are they gonna be sold for rental property? How are they going to ensure that the houses stay nice? I've lived in many places that had this type of house, and it's got about a 5-year lifespan.
And so,
And then
Mr.
it goes to
Chairman,
hell in a handbasket.
while I appreciate his comments and questions, those are things that we do not ask any developers here in San Angelo. We do not have those
That's apparent.
requirements.
So he was openly
That's
asking-
apparent by
So it's-
driving around.
he still has 58 seconds to go, 56.
Right, and so
I'll allow
it would be
that.
voluntary by the developer
I'll
if he
allow
wanted to disclose that information.
And so he wants to read into the record. and
I-
that's
I-
fine.
And my last thing I'll say, is I understand you're just trying to make a living. I understand you're trying to do something that's nice, hopefully, but my concerns are beyond building it and selling it. My concerns are living with it behind me for the next however many years I have, it ain't many.
Can I do this?
So, that's it.
If you were in his shoes, how would you answer it, your questions? Because you're going into the meta, you're going to the here and beyond. How
Yeah.
would you answer it?
I would have walked and knocked on every door on Burlington Drive.
No, about the future. not the past.
No, I
The
would
future,
have
you
gone
want
and
to
said,
make sure
here's
X,
what
Y,
we're
and
going
Z
to
in the
build,
future."
here's what it's going to look like, here's what we're gonna do to ensure that it doesn't look bad from your backyard to their
I think we can do
backyard.
that. I think we can do that. I think he can do that with the pictures he passed around here.
Nobody's knocked on my door.
But as far as what happens 5 years from now, I don't think I don't even.
No, he doesn't have any
Yeah,
right to
okay,
it.
okay.
He sold it, it's beyond his care.
I think his concern
But
is,
I'd like it to last.
as a resident, he's concerned on, obviously, the questions for the future that no one knows. He wants the builder to answer certain questions for his concerns, which we've seen the pictures.
All I'm
they have
asking for
not.
the builder to be
Oh,
a good
they haven't
neighbor.
seen the picture?
No,
Okay.
they have not seen the
So,
pictures.
I'm done.
So,
Okay, thank you. Ms.
thank you very
All right.
much.
Mr. Willard, state your name again, please.
Zane Willard.
Did you hear his concerns? You can't answer the lack of
I know,
notification, that's not your responsibility, but go to what part is yours. It was actually a two-part question, one that went to staff about lack of what's going on, notification otherwise. The other one is yours. I don't expect
I'd be
you
happy to
predict-
address that now, Chairman.
Yes, you surely may. Was I wrong in that, in deciphering that? I
There
don't think
was,
I
there was no notification. The property information is excluded, specifically excluded from the Tom Green County Appraisal District. Therefore, we were not able to notify that address. And so there's
So
nothing
you don't
there.
feel like anything was wrong?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
can't hear him.
And they did call and say they did not receive one, and I mailed one and emailed one to them.
Okay.
We're having trouble hearing with the conversation in the back.
Yes, we are having trouble hearing a lot of the mics because all we can hear is the background conversation. I'm not sure who it is, but that's all I can hear in the background. Sorry, I apologize.
I also felt like under the quasi rules that he was maybe even proper notice of hearing. That's all. That's the reason I said that.
Aaron, do you mind repeating what you said? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you a second ago.
Sure. So as we pull our information from the Tom Green County Appraisal District, which is required by the state, the property that did not get notice was excluded by possibly a previous property owner, and so it does not show up on the Tom Green County Appraisal District. As soon as staff were made aware of that by someone calling in, they did send a letter, and so they did receive notice. So we feel like we have done everything we can to provide the proper notice under the state law, as we always try to do, to make sure that the case does not delay applicants, does not delay the opponents in this case, and so.
Excuse me, Mr. Vinoy, point of order. Hey, gentlemen, can we limit our conversations, please?
Thank you, Mason.
And so we do feel like we have made proper notice for this case, so it can be heard today and move forward with a decision from the board.
Okay. All right. So you feel like you provided everyone with an interest in the proceedings and all that? All right. All right, Mr. Wilson.
So I had to go ask his name. So Mr. McBroom asked some great questions. Number one, we take pride in what we do. And no matter where we build that, what we've learned is that there's always a neighbor and nobody likes change. That's the bottom line. This property has been for sale since 1989, zoned as it's currently going to be built on. So sooner or later, somebody was going to build there. So our goal is to make them as nice as we can. Got a realtor in the room. I think that you can attest to the fact that people in St. Angelo are needing smaller, more affordable. And when I say affordable, I want to be careful about how that's interpreted. Less square footage, high end. You've got a hospital going in down the road. They've got doctors, therapists, and nurses. They've reached out to us. They're looking for housing. I mean, it's everybody doesn't need a 3,000 square foot house. Some people want a 1,500 square foot home, but they want it to be nice, high end, high quality. Our goal with requesting the variance was singular, to be able to make sure that when we finish the homes, we could have a yard, and it avoided to have a balcony or a rooftop deck or whatever you want to call it. That, number one, for the residents living there, it makes it more palatable for them to go outside if they got a dog or whatever the case. And number two, for the neighbors back there. As far as going and knocking on everybody's door, I'm not going to do that. We put a sign up at every job site. There's several of them there. I have a couple hundred guys every day that wear a hoodie or a shirt that has my phone number on it. You can call me at any time, and I'll ask any questions. I've got some, this isn't exactly what they're going to look like, but I've got some pictures I'd be happy to show to you. And they're gonna be nice, high-end homes. They're just gonna be a little bit smaller than the others that are down there. And the city is desperate for that. I mean, we have a need for that. I don't know if I've answered your question. Is there anything else?
Will there be a fence along the drop-off?
Yes, sir. Well, no, a brick wall. What my goal is I hate cedar fences because they look horrible in a short period of time. And so we're going to do a brick wall on the backside. It accomplishes two things. It doesn't get weathered by the sun and the rain and such in 4 or 5 years. And number two, it lasts and it looks good. It'll give you total privacy down there.
Point of order, point
We
of order.
actually have to have you come to the front.
Yes, the
Sorry.
second floor will have
Wrong
windows.
without my vice chair.
Sorry.
Sorry
it's
about
standard
that. My
procedure.
name's
I
Nolan
apologize.
Robles.
I'm
Is the
sorry?
second story gonna have windows overlooking our yards?
More than likely. I mean, yes.
Well,
I would
there's
say it will.
requirements by the fire code that windows, so, I mean,
They can't be on the side?
I don't know.
We
I don't
we
know.
definitely need this gentleman to read his name into the record, as he has not come forward yet.
Oh, he's not.
And we have our public comment sign up.
Did you
that-
sign up
Yeah.
at the?
Yes.
Did you?
Mr.
Okay,
Robles.
okay, procedure.
Should I let them meet me and look at these right here just to give a little better indication of the difference? And I know there's a lot of confusion because even internally, the difference in a twin home or a zero lot compared to a townhome, I think if people really understood what we're trying to request here, it makes it so much more palatable to them as residents and neighbors versus all of them strung together. Number one, the value for the buyer, by not having a common wall, it just makes people like them better. It just makes it a better product. That's what we're trying to
Mr.
accomplish.
Mr. Willard, did you present the pictures that you presented to us, to staff, so that they could actually post them in their,
Well, we met, that's what I mentioned earlier to Aaron. They got to get that technology where we can get that in here. So there wasn't no way to put that up there at this point, so.
to scan it and email it to?
So Chairman, I have an idea, and I don't know that it makes any sense. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity, and this is at Mr. Willard's discretion if he chooses to or not, if you were to call a recess for 10 minutes and he was able to talk to the group that is interested in this case, if that helps anything move forward or not, and then we come back from recess and reconvene with public comment.
Before we go there, I walked it the other day, I will do that, thank you, Mr. Benoit. You're gonna do 2 stories, you say? There'll be 2 stories.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I was walking that property the other day, and I guess most everyone's backyard is facing west, would you say? Would that be west? Would you think that what you're building there would actually create more shade for that backyard sooner than the natural elevation?
Correct, it would.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Well, look, I looked down on you. I would, I saw that pretty pool there, and I thought, man, it's hot. I want to go swimming, but
I'm more than happy
all
to
right.
meet with the group
All right.
outside.
I read that, and that's fine. And I'm going to call for recess if the board will allow us. All in favor for
So
recess?
moved.
All right, thank you. I'll go. So moved. We vote.
So board, I think I think the board needs to go to the lobby
Oh, board.
and let them have this room in case he needs
Sounds like a
to,
perfect idea.
if that's all right with y'all. They're able, we can go to the lobby. We won't discuss the case. We'll discuss the weather.
We'll shut the door.
They'll get to discuss what they choose to discuss.
You let us know when you're ready. 10 minutes. Or so.
One, do I see any smiles on faces or frowns? Sort of, kind of. No. All right. Well, we're doing the best we can. This is kind of out of the norm to do it, but I've agreed with Mr. Benoit. It was a good idea to at least attempt it. And where do I go from here again? Bring me up to speed. I'm calling the meeting back to order from the recess, and it is, what time is it? 2:36, Monday, March 3rd, ZBA. I've done all the proper things protocol-wise to do that. Where do we go from here?
We open back up to public comment.
And we're going to open back up to public comment. There being public comment, Mr. Reed over here will call your name.
Yeah, we have a Nolan Robles.
Welcome, Reed. Go ahead and read your name into the record again, Mr.
My name's Nolan Robles.
Afternoon.
I live on the very end, 629 Burlington. I stand before this board and state my opposition to the request of the variance. Prior to the current owner, the subject of the land was basically the side of a hill covered with native flora. Although designed as Section 27 of the Bluff subdivision, most of the land was considered unbuildable by the prior developer. The native land was too thin and too steep to build on. The current owners addressed this issue by stripping the land and trucking in hundreds and hundreds of truckloads of fill to raise the elevation of the natural land. As a result, the now existing flat area no longer resembles the original property. The lots on Burlington sold. The Burlington side of this development now include a significant amount of unusable area on the side of a very steep drop-off. As an example, the unusable land area on some of the lots are now only a 40-foot from the street curb to the edge of the now dangerous 15 to 20-foot embankment that extends to the end of their 75-foot lot. So basically, they cannot use about 35 feet of their lot size, the back side, the embankment side. Even though the plot says that these lots are 35 by 75 and that the developers were going to build townhomes, the buildable area is a lot less due to the way the street was developed and the drop-off of the 15 to 20 foot on the back of the lots of the Burlington side development. A request to make any of the lots narrower for any reason should be disallowed. These lots need to be bigger and not smaller. The shape of the land and existing infrastructure are all the results of design and action of the current owner. The existing owners claim a hardship for the road that they built, as well as the existing infrastructure they have installed. Any existing hardship being claimed was self-created by the applicant and is not justification for the variance of the established laws and ordinances. The board should treat this variance request as no infrastructure and have built and denied the request.
I have one question. You said developer. Would you name the developer that told you what you read into there? Previous developer that, what'd you say at the very first? The developer told you it was not going to be used? Is that what you said?
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry. Would you go back and just name the developer, please?
I don't know who the developer was.
Okay, well, that's your statement was the developer. There's been two developers on that, by the way. So the original one's deceased. But, yes, thank you, sir. Any questions? All right, thank you.
We appreciate your comment. Thank you.
All right, next one.
We have a Marcy Hampton.
Hi, state your name, please.
Marcy Hampton, and mind you, this is something that my husband and I put together, so he wasn't here to hear the discussion, so some of it may be not 100% applicable. So, but my name is Marcy Hampton. I live at 609 Burlington Road with my husband, Stephen Hampton. We would like to voice our strong objection to the proposed variance for properties in the new View at the Bluff subdivision. This new group of proposed houses is directly behind our home on Burlington Road. It is a gross violation of our privacy to place homes there of any size, much less the tiny lots that are currently being staked out. Some of those lots would be lucky to fit a single wide trailer. Those lots are elevated above a natural waterway that runs behind the homes of the 600 block of Burlington. They will literally be looking right down into our backyard and any west-facing windows on any of the homes in this block. This would include the entire backyard, 2 bedrooms, living room, dining room, and kitchen in my home. That area was previously untouched, natural landscape and habitat to deer, foxes, raccoons, and countless other wildlife. I question if any environmental study was performed prior to the area being scraped barren and untold tons of dirt being trucked in to level it out for home sites. It's hard to imagine that this will not have a detrimental effect on the fish that live in the 2 ponds across the street on Burlington. Heavy rains fill the waterway almost to capacity already. With a fraction of the land left to soak up the rainfall, I wonder who will be responsible for damage from potential flooding in the future. Probably the homeowner. If this developer is allowed to bypass current zoning restrictions on lot size and place these tiny homes directly above us, it will no doubt have a detrimental effect on our property values. I never would have thought the city would have allowed such a gross violation of existing personal property rights by allowing these home sites to start for in the first place. I can guarantee you not a single homeowner in this block would have agreed to this subdivision had they been given a chance to vote on it. This request by the developer speaks volumes about his total disregard for personal property rights. Please consider the feelings of the existing homeowners and deny this variance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I answer one question?
Yes.
Is the density changed? Is more being added or less on this?
No, sir, the zoning's been the
Okay,
same
so-
RS3
yeah,
since 89.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And one other question is that I know that our lots are considerably larger, and it still gets a bit crowded with parking. It's really going to be crowded with parking
Yes,
in this
always
situation.
an issue, isn't it?
But not part of the issue.
Yeah, I know, that's fine. That's okay.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you very much.
Scott Allison? Okay. Moving on to Shelley Sturgeon.
Hi, state your name for the record, please.
My name is Shelley Sturgeon, and I live at 621 Burlington Road. I'm third house from the end. I am here to register a vote of opposed to the requested zoning variance. The current lot is already 100 square feet short of the minimum lot area criteria of 2,500 square feet per RS3 Section 501. Applicant is asking for a 30 by 60 lot, which is a mere 1,800 square feet. That's a 28% deviation from the criteria, the law. The current lots are simply too small to build on and meet zoning requirements. The applicant began the infrastructure and realized since then that townhomes require 3 in a row per state law. Now he's trying to switch to twin homes. The current lot of 40 by 60 already promotes super high density housing with no buffer zone. This certainly violates sensible city planning. It will greatly increase traffic congestion while decreasing our property values. The zoning code exists for a variety of reasons, including protecting us existing homeowners. Granting this variance upon an already unapproved variance will set the stage for asking for more variances, all at the expense of us current homeowners. RS3 zoning already exists in the Bluffs. Those lots are approximately 1/4 of an acre compared to the 4/100ths of an acre that is being asked for. Per the deed restrictions for the Bluffs Section 27, all improvements must be in harmony with the existing structures. Recognizing that property deeds are a county governing body, it nonetheless underscores how the intentions of the applicant are not in compliance with county restrictions either. Applicant cannot claim that the land is peculiar when applicant trucked in hundreds of yards of fill, inventing space that did not previously exist. Applicant built the road and filed the plat. Applicant cannot claim special circumstances to something they designed and chose to build. These circumstances are the direct result of the actions of the applicant. It is not an undue hardship to replat to code. The burden of consequences of the infrastructure already being installed should not fall on the shoulders of us current homeowners. Applicants should have done their homework to begin with. The spirit of the zoning ordinance is not to encourage super high density housing with no buffer. Our privacy, as mentioned many times, has been very violated. The natural environment and topography have been severely and adversely affected. Granting the variance would be contrary to the intent of the zoning ordinance and will not be in harmony with the surrounding structures. Whether this is a case of not doing their homework or asking for forgiveness instead of permission, neither is acceptable. This is a flagrant disrespect to us homeowners and an equal disregard for the law. City law, county law, letter of the law, spirit of the law. Applicant needs to bring all lots into compliance with RS3 zoning and county deed restrictions before building. City ordinances are law, not just a mere suggestion.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a Lori Malu.
State your name for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Lori Malo. I live on 625 Burlington, which is the top star that's right on my house. So
Your top star?
we are the top star. So I wrote a speech because I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Good afternoon, members of the City Council. Again, my name, Lori Malo. My husband, Brian, and I live at 625 Burlington. We are retired Air Force veterans, 26 years, 23 years. When we chose to retire, we deliberately chose the Bluffs. We deliberately chose that house. We looked at so many houses. For its privacy, security, the quality of life. That's why we strongly oppose the proposed development of two-story homes, two-story any type of properties, behind our properties. This project will negatively impact our homes, our privacy, our neighborhood. Many of us bought our homes here because it's quiet, private, and safe. This development takes all of that away, drastically altering what we value about our homes. This project does not fit the character of our neighborhood and violates the very principles that the Bluffs was founded on: privacy, space, and architectural harmony. The deed restrictions for the Bluffs, which I was told don't matter now, the Bluffs emphasize maintaining harmony of external design with existing structures and improvements. This proposed development fails that standard in multiple ways. These two-story homes will be built right up against our backyards, towering over us, looking straight into our yards and windows. Instead of enjoying our outdoor space, we'll be forced to keep our blinds closed just to maintain privacy. And apparently now we get to look at a brick wall. So there's that. And here's what makes it worse. The land wasn't even there to begin with. It was too small and impractical for construction. So they trucked in dirt to create land that didn't exist. They are forcing the development onto a space that was never meant to hold homes. To add to the problem, the developers started this project without the proper variances or permits. They ignored the rules and moved forward anyway. Now they want forgiveness instead of permission. If this variance is approved, it sends a message that developers can break the rules and expect the city to clean up their mess. We understand there's a housing shortage, but we're going to be honest. This is not about affordable housing. It's about maximizing profits by squeezing in as many homes as possible. They're asking to reduce lot sizes by 28%, benefiting them, not us, not even the people that are going to live in these cramped, tiny spaces. Beyond privacy, this project creates serious infrastructure problems. More homes mean more traffic, more strain on utilities, and more environmental concerns. Had they conducted an environmental impact study, stormwater and drainage study, a soil geotechnical study, I'm about to go on, my bad, a noise impact study, a utility infrastructure study, a school impact study, a public services and safety awareness and analysis, a historical or cultural resource study, a shadow and sunlight study, a community impact assessment to understand how this changes our neighborhood. Have they conducted a traffic impact study to assess congestion, a parking and transit study to ensure there's enough space? Most people have a car, most of us have two. With the amount of lots they are trying to build, we could see anywhere between 30 and 60 more cars on Stratford and FM 2288. And where will they park? There aren't any cuts on those pictures for driveways. There's no cuts in those curbs for driveways. Will they clog the streets? Who will enforce leash laws and pest weight cleanup? Who will regulate noise, litter, late night activity? Who is responsible if this leads to more trespassing or loitering in our neighborhood? These are serious questions with no clear answers. That's why we strongly oppose this variance and ask that it be denied. The developer knowingly broke the rules and is now asking for an exception that will permanently harm our neighborhood. We ask the council to stand by zoning laws and protect the homeowners who already live there. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
And I apologize. That highway there, that Farm Market Road, I was out there the other day, and there was a lot of traffic and traffic noise, and I happen to live on the back of Bell Street there, and I'm very familiar with traffic noise, and I choose to live there. Did y'all hear the noise from the highway?
oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, would you think that the structures would stop some of that noise from coming over?
I think it's gonna cause more noise, because now you've got how many people living right above us
Well,
with
they
that
won't be in their
noise?
vehicles. I'm very familiar with traffic noise. I
Yeah.
really am. I live on Bell Street, and sometimes the trucks go down, and over the years, I get hairline cracks and things like that, but I choose to live there. It was there when I bought it, and all those kind of things, and I was thinking, I tried to eliminate the noise with shrubbery and wall and things like that. It didn't do much. So I was just, as you was talking, I said, I wonder if another structure would stop that traffic, because that's consistent. Yeah, that traffic noise is consistent, especially 5 o'clock hour stuff. No, I'm just, it's a passing thought, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. And by the way, that thing I look at, we have a 3-minute time limit on this, so that's the rules, but we let you go, and that's
Yes, I
fine. And if you're
appreciate
close-
that.
and if
Thank
you hear
you.
that go off and you're real close to finishing, I will let you.
Yes,
I will
sir.
allow that, I guess. Is that the word? And, but, thank
I-
you very much.
I
It's very
appreciate
well
you letting
taken.
me talk. I appreciate
Thank you for your
it. Thank you.
service.
We understand you were nervous.
Yes.
We've never lost a patient yet, so thank you for your service, ma'am.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Now you're gonna have to say we have to be a doctor too, huh? Yeah,
I believe that's all we had.
Is that it?
That's all we had signed up.
That's good. So many here, should all let it go? And the ones that didn't sign, did everybody understand they needed to sign up to speak? Okay, all right. We'll move on then. I'd like to say that all y'all's points and talks and concerns, I've heard it, and I'm listening. And the board is limited on what they can do with that. I am sorry, I don't make the laws, but I do feel your concerns. And, it's, how do you address that beforehand? I don't know. I've always been kind of clueless on that, on what to do. And the environmental impact studies and all that, they're not required. I'm sitting here thinking, when this was put in 1984, and the original developer's nephew is here, but I don't think in 84 environmental impact, something that large might have been, just taking an overall environmental look at it. I was involved in one time with environmental impact and over there by the Lone Wolf Bridge, because I don't want to go there. But anyway, it's shut the subdivision down, that's for sure, but we were just starting. But that was under different rules and different long time ago. So anyway, I just thought I might address the environmental impact issues. It is not a requirement. Maybe when the subdivision was put in, and the developer at that time put the whole subdivision in. It has never been done like that, Stanislaw, to my knowledge. He did the whole thing and took all the risks for that whole thing. I forget how many houses, David, how many's in there? I added it up one time, and it's like putting the city of Ballinger in there, Yeah. I think I went to 923 one time, years ago, and that's not counting the commercial. So I'm sure there was some government regulation involved there for environmental impacts and all that kind of thing. So, but your points are taken. Believe me. And if I could do anything, I would, and I've gone as far as I can with it. I hope y'all understand. Big bad developers, right? But,
We truly appreciate all of your comments, concerns. We are definitely taking them all into consideration.
Move on.
Move forward.
They want me to move on. See, I get emotional too. But, over it. I mean, that's democracy. All right, let's see, where do I go from here? I lost all my.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
They were saying that they trucked in all this dirt and all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long ago was that they did that?
If you want to make a comment, I hate to say, yeah, sorry, you have to come.
I
No,
think
no,
city staff
We'd love
can
for you to come to the.
City staff can answer that. City staff
can answer
So-
that.
can
Oh,
answer
okay.
that.
One-
Sorry.
So after the plat was filed in 2022, the developer has the ability to start developing those lots. That is approximately the time that he would have started doing grading, earth moving, getting ready for utility installation, doing drainage study analysis, those types of things. And so as that process goes on, they actually do compaction tests because our building permits will require that. Since they bring in dirt, they have to do compaction tests. I don't remember how many feet they do, but our building official could answer that if we needed that. I don't think we need that, but they do require that as they move forward. So when they pour the foundations, they know that they are going onto a solid footing and those things. And he has not applied for building permits yet. This is the step before he gets there to make sure what the structure type is.
So the compaction tests were done, there's a certificate in the building official's file?
They have not applied for the building permits yet, so we have not received that yet, but that is standard process that developers all over town do that.
Okay, all right. Well, good question, good question. Any more?
Do we have an approximate idea of how much higher that land has been raised? Obviously, it's concerning constituents.
I do not have that.
Neighbors, and I'm gonna keep.
I don't-
I'm gonna
Hold on,
finish
all
my-
right, Mr. Willard. Go ahead.
We hauled
State
nothing
your name
in.
again, please.
Zane Willard.
Thank you.
We hauled nothing in. We cut it.
Okay.
So there was a lot of misinformation that was just presented. So it was like this, we cut down that side and we hauled out. We didn't have to bring anything in. All the material was there. It's a solid rock hill. It ain't gonna go anywhere. So if you can just imagine,
I'm
here
aware
was
of
the
the
slope
rock
of the
in
hill.
that place
We
out
cut-
there.
Sorry.
You think they're talking about your limestone pads you brought in as far as dirt, when they say dirt? Was it the white?
I don't wanna
white-
speak for them. I
White,
mean-
dirt, that's limestone, that's a compaction product.
Well, that's what it was when you cut into that hill. It was limestone. I mean, it was.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it's.
you know, that helps you as a developer with foundation movements, is your foundation man is
yeah.
gonna complain.
So we
after
weren't
that
having
through.
to haul anything in, we were just shifting what was already there. We just counterbalanced it. We just cut it down to give us a flat section up there. Other than to top it off at the very end, but
It's not appropriate at this time to have a back and forth with
Okay.
the applicant and the audience.
Yeah.
But back to the variance for today. Point of order, please.
So I'm going to go back to my question, and my question basically was, obviously, the residents are concerned with the notion that there is a elevation issue because something either was brought in and that's their interpretation that they have expressed today. So my question was, is there any flooding and elevation issue that is obviously concerning them? Can we answer that specifically?
I couldn't understand your question.
Is that, there's been multiple comments that dirt was brought in, dirt was removed, so forth. My main question is there a flooding or any type of concern for the residents that surround that area with the elevation of the current property now? And when the pads were, if they were to be approved?
Can you put the plat up for it? So there was a drainage study done before the plat was filed and before any work was done. And so when you see up there, unobstructed drainage right away, all the water that was coming before we began, that's where it all went, whether it came off 2288 or Stratford Street. There's already a drainage way there. So we haven't changed that. There was a drainage study done by Erica in the back here. The city approved all that. I think we're off the subject of what the issue is today about the variance. I mean, whether, I mean.
I agree,
it's irrelevant.
I'm just, I'm addressing I'm addressing the questions that everybody
No,
felt
no, I'm not
obligated
talking
to
about
come
you.
up here and ask.
I know what,
I mean,
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking
Yeah,
about
so
the way to
there is definitely a way for the, there should be no increased runoff to the right of way, bottom line.
Do the folks know you did a drainage study? Do the neighbors know you did a drainage study?
We've explained it to them, but I don't know that they've heard us.
Do you have a copy of it
that.
that you passed to them or anything?
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
all
we're
that's
trying
been
to-
done.
We're trying to, there's quite a few people here. This isn't one or two neighbors. And I'm giving a lot of benefit for them to talk.
No, I understand.
And I know how limited we are on taking their stuff into our consideration, but they're here. This is real. And you need to calm them down the best you can. And if you have a drainage study, they need to see it or have it and that kind of thing. They just do. It's just kind of common thing, you know? And that's the first I've heard of a drainage study. And, you know, they have a lot of, what I like to say, heartburn or indigestion over it just happening. And anything you can do to ease that, give them a Rolaids here or there to ease some of their concerns, do it. Do it. I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, and I know it's not the builder's responsibility. I know all that stuff. But at the end of the day, here we are. And they're thorn in the side, and I'm working with them the best we can, and I'm not telling you how to run your business. This is just a suggestion. And if you have any kind of official studies on drainage like that, which you just said you did, get it to them. Get it to them. And if they're going to require compaction studies, get the compaction studies. Everybody do what they're supposed to do or what they're saying they're doing.
Just from the standpoint of the meeting, y'all need to get back on track, focus on what he is required legally to do, not on hypotheticals, and...
I understand. Thank you. No, we closed it. We gotta stop it. I think the assistant city manager has spoken up.
I just think, how can you make a decision and not vote in front of us, and why we all came down here and wasted our days?
Sir,
Because you
Sir,
voted on it.
why we-
We're just following the law. We're following the rules.
While we truly appreciate.
There hasn't been a vote yet either.
Maybe you need to do your own research, and I handed it out of what this board means.
We truly,
Our hands are tied too.
we have not voted, okay? No, that's what's saying that's what's saying, just to clarify, okay?
Well, we're not gonna be intimidated by the
Please-
people that show
Please
up.
give me just a minute. The staff is making a recommendation. That's what they make. Us as a board, we have not voted, which is why we have chosen to spend this time to hear you out. And we are all taking that into consideration. And we appreciate each and every one of you that has shown up. And we wish we could give you all day to make an argument, because it could truly go that far. What we're trying to explain is, as the city manager said, is we have to stay on task, and we have heard you, whether sometimes you realize it or not. We truly have heard you, and we appreciate you showing up today. And we are going to take that into consideration. We have not voted yet. We will do that here shortly.
And each and every one of us only one vote. Thank you. All right, I need to move it on. You've heard, I'm supposed to move it on. Where was I moving on to?
Do you have any further questions for city staff, or are y'all ready to have your discussion, and if anyone has a motion?
I think we're ready to have the discussion between us.
Yes.
So, close public comment and, ask for board commentary. All right, we're moving to the board commentary. That's the next checklist thing. All right, board, start talking to us. Start talking to me, and I'll add your 2 cents, and I'm a plug nickel. Yeah.
Can you start?
Yeah. So I'm ready to make a motion.
Everybody, no commentary, we're ready to hear the motion. All right, I'll move on for a motion. Let's hear the motion.
I make a motion to approve the variance as stated by the staff.
There's a motion for approval and.
The new variance?
This variance that we're discussing today, that is ZBA 25-02, to approve that as presented.
Is that clear? Does that make sense? Good? Good motion?
I second.
All right, I
The
call
new
for a
one?
second, there's a second. Hold on, there's some confusion.
So I do want to question, so
This
I
one
know
right
that
here.
there was an old one that was submitted that was against denial.
This would allow us,
Obviously, with the opposition that we have at hand, should we not have a little bit more of a discussion about that? No?
You can discuss it before, after we have a second on it right now, but we can still have discussion.
Okay, we have a second to your motion? A second, all right. And then I'm not gonna call for the vote. We're gonna have discussion from the board on the motion and the second that's there. Is there any discussion?
I think there's a lot of opposition and question and.
I think there's a lot of
concern and-
misunderstanding in it.
I agree.
So in 2022, the plat was brought before the planning commission and it was approved at that time. And from 22 until today, the owner has been working towards getting everything ready to build. With the twin homes, we're opening, the twin homes is a 0 lot line, and there's basically just reducing the width by a very small amount of feet on each one to accommodate the twin home that the builder wants to build there. And that's what the recommendation that I made for. But I just think that there's a lot of moving parts here that maybe the residents didn't understand in all the process. So when the land is zoned for that type of building or for building on that zone, the neighborhood is usually not, sent out anything from the builder that I'm going to do this or this or this or this. It just kind of automatically happens. So that would have been a great time to visit with the builder, to find out more additional information. As far as the drainage, they've done the studies, they have all of that in place, and there should be, that should be taken care of so that it doesn't flood as it did several years ago. Go ahead.
Am I supposed to say something?
I think much of today was not germane to the issue at hand, the zoning, the plating, et cetera, and it was. And I see friends, I see tennis players and partners, I understand. I just simply think many of the conversations today were not germane to the ruling issue brought forth.
I agree. They're getting on the chairman, by the way, for that one.
No,
I think we're all,
I'm sorry, I levity while
all
you're thinking.
just,
You're-
I'm listening to, I see it from both standards. I see it from a real estate side, I see it from a residential side, I see it from a opposition side. So I'm just thinking it all out and.
Yeah, due diligence. That's what we're trying here. Anything else? You ready? The motion and the second. You want to call for the vote, or you want to talk about something? Want to flip a coin? All right, I'm going to say the commentary has been taken care of. I'm going to call for the vote. The motion, all in favor for the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There being none, it passes 6-0. Thank you. Moving on to the next item agenda. Oh, this is gonna be fun too. Oh my gosh.
Can't get no worse than this, I think. I'll tell you what,
I'm gonna use the little girl friend for this one.
We need to recess. We need a bathroom break.
Can I have like three minutes? I'm gonna use the little girl's room.
Do I need to recess it?
Do we need to or no? Just wait a second. Let me.
It's kind of.
I will say, I've been sweating the whole time. Don't know that. Thank you, Chairman. So we did table this case last month. I'm not going to go through each and every slide so that we can move forward. I did update a couple of them, and I'll go to those. And I did send to you guys all the background information that I had on the case, which I think was over 100 pages.
104. Thank you.
So that wasn't to overwhelm you, but we just wanted to be as transparent as we could because,
Well, I do have a complaint about that.
okay,
My complaint is there were no pictures. I like pictures when I read them.
That's number one. That's number one, and there was a lot of duplicate copies of everything in that 109.
that's true.
And the timeline was off, and you had to go back, and it made it very difficult. And I printed it out, and I was gonna bring it, and that was the main thing I was gonna work on. And because I was wanted to separate it out and show y'all how many duplicate copies of 109 were put in there.
Many.
And many. Well, did you see it? Or am I speaking out of turn here? I wanted to bring it, and I left it in my office.
That's what happens with email chains.
Well,
You get lots of
I
duplication.
just know that,
Yes.
if that would have been me trying to convince the city to do something and it came in that sloppy, y'all would turn it around and say, go clean it up.
All
I
lessons
was
learned.
not interested, or it should have been wrote on their duplicate copies or something. There could have been a word in what I consider duplicate that had changed.
All lessons learned to move forward with the next time we have to do
And
this.
this is the stuff, and I do realize this is the stuff I asked for during the first meeting. And, again, go ahead, I'll stop there.
Okay, so there was no change on this slide. Of course, this slide was included in the information that you had in your background, just kind of going through what we talked about. Again, this slide opens up with the zoning purpose of our zoning ordinance. Again, no changes, just straight out of the ordinance. This side is the section 304, the commercial district intent statements, where it talks about neighborhood commercial specifically. This is our paragraph that we looked at. Again, no changes there, directly out of the ordinance, and was on your slides last time.
We'll go back 1 second, just for a second. And you see that, right, as planning director?
Yes, sir.
And you're gonna highlight your argument off which one on that it's interpretation? Go
Yes,
on.
this is the zoning district in which I'm making the interpretation,
Right. And your argument is where in that?
is multifold. Not
Okay,
just here, but
okay.
within the entire
But
zoning ordinance.
What part of that do you see in that gives you this right?
More limited range of retail trade and services aimed towards meeting the routine needs of the residents in that neighborhood.
Okay. Allowable commercial uses include a wide variety, as well as a more limited range of retail trade. Okay, so that's a sentence you're using.
Yes, one of the sentences I'm
Okay,
using.
move on then, thank you.
This is a general commercial district, just as a comparison to another zoning designation. Again, it talks about higher intensity, larger trade area, floor area, traffic generation than neighborhood commercial uses.
Okay, this is under the CG,
That is correct.
and why is that in here?
To give you a comparison to what neighborhood
Okay, where are you
commercial
comparing
is,
it to the first one that you're using?
that is correct.
What sentence? Okay, you had that sentence, I got that pulled out.
I'm comparing the entire paragraph to paragraph.
Well, you're comparing it to a sentence.
Well, then let me retract that statement, say I'm comparing them to the intent statements, which is a paragraph, and to this intent statement, which is a
Okay, then
paragraph,
Let me take some time to read this a little closer.
which was in your
You
background
went off the sentence
information
and now
and
you're
was
in the
presented
paragraph.
last time.
General commercial is intended to provide opportunities for development of higher intensity with larger trade. So the definition of higher intensity is cars?
It doesn't say that specifically.
Okay, well, hold on. Larger trade for traffic generation, okay? That's generalized traffic generation, limited outdoor streams.
Traffic could be pedestrian, could be bicycle, could be buses. It's not just personal vehicle traffic.
Now, you're basing that off some traffic count, or people count, or just opinion, or what, on this case, particular case?
On this case?
Yes.
We're comparing the intent statements.
To who?
We are comparing the intent
Okay,
statements.
all right, move on. Move on.
So this is section 315 that drills just a little bit deeper, talks on the basis for classifications, the principal uses of characteristics, and the considerations used in categorizing principal uses. So if they're not spoken to within our ordinance, this is the blueprint in which a director, myself, or anyone would go through and look at those items and say, all right, where does this fit within our zoning ordinance?
And that's what I'm asking you on this.
So that's what I've done, and I'll
Okay,
get,
so you're using the whole thing, or is there any particular one you're pulling out that you're hanging your hat on more than the other?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
So, section 315, these were the 5 items that we talked about last time. Talking about the vehicles used with the activity, the relative number of vehicle trips generated by the use, the signs, how the use advertises itself, and whether the activity is likely to be found independent of other activities on the site. So
Okay.
those were the 5 that I utilized out of the general use categories.
And you're using this to consider against your opposition to it, right? Is that where, I'm trying to track.
I'm using this to make my interpretation of where it fits in the zoning districts.
Okay, so if I went line of vehicles used with the activity, what'd you use to compare that with? I mean, where's your data on that? Where's your facts, so to speak?
Looking at any other vape shops that we have and how they're located, where are they located on major classification roads? Are they located in certain zoning districts? How many generation trips are generated on the weekends, at nights, during the day? Those types of things.
And
While
what'd you come up with?
we didn't look at hard numbers,
Oh,
we're
you
looking
didn't.
at generalization.
Okay, is that where we leave it, in generalized terms?
Yes.
When we're trying to base things on facts? Back
I
to-
believe that's why they hired me in this position, so that I'm able to make those decisions based on my knowledge and being able to apply this ordinance, yes.
I do not doubt that, but this is a quasi judicial, we're looking for facts.
Correct.
Okay. I will not, I know you're good, I know you're talented, and I know all that, but this is a judicial quasi. Quasi judicial requires facts when opinions are being put together, and I just
Okay.
asked if you had any facts to back that up. I wasn't questioning your ability.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, back up. Relative number of vehicles tripped generated by the use, and you've got a general idea on that.
Yes.
Okay, and how'd you come up with that?
Observation, going out and looking at places at nighttime, on the weekends, times that these facilities are used, not during the day, going and looking at places down Avenue N, looking
Did I
at
see
places
did
across
I
the
see that
street.
in the packet that y'all sent?
No.
Okay. Signs?
Signs, we had a display of signs the last time, talked about how signs usually are multiple signs. They are also geared towards younger generations, not towards older generations. And basically, that's how the store advertises itself.
Now, hold on a second. Where is it you're coming from that you have to do it between older and younger?
It doesn't.
Okay.
It gives me that discretion how it advertises it by itself, because the state of Texas, the Department of Health State Services knows that the number one growing use of vapes is children under the age of 16.
Did you include that in the package?
It was last time, and I think it is this time, but it was last
Did y'all see
time.
that? Did y'all see that? Like I said, I was
Yes.
on the.
Yes.
Gary,
Did saw it? Okay.
can you move your microphone a little closer to you?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, the business has
What-
a responsibility to not sell to them. But at the same time, if they're advertising and marketing to them intentionally or unintentionally, that makes a decision of where we want to zone these properties in our city.
Okay, I almost agree with that, but go ahead. But this is you saw the fact from the.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, it is, I don't have a page number, but
Yeah.
it cites 1.63 million, 5.9. Students currently use e-cigarettes. This includes 410,000, 3.5% are in middle school, 1.21 million, 7.8% are in high school. That is in our packet, yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay, I missed it, and they're versing that against the previous old technology of the cigarette smoking, yeah, okay. All right, so we don't know whether that's higher or lower number.
Seems significant to me, but,
Sir?
seems significant to me, but I also
Well,
don't have
yeah,
children.
but I know, but it's still a legal substance.
Yeah.
And they're over 18, they're considered adults. They make their own decisions and things like that. I got you. But I thank you, by the way, Mr. Burke.
Do you want any information on the last one?
Give me a second. So how the use advertises itself, we talked about that. What'd you say? Refresh my memory.
They tend to market their advertising.
Okay, I got you. All right, okay, thank you. Now we're going, okay, whether the activity is likely to be found independent of the other activities on the site. That's your last one.
So rarely is it vape and tobacco only is found by itself. They're usually in conjunction with other retail sales types activities. Now, not universally. We do, you think of the Colonel. It's a tobacco store. That's an independent by itself.
What if it's just a shoe store?
Well, my question would be, what if it was just an alcohol? What if it was a liquor store?
Then we would look at the.
Okay, excuse me, not liquor store. What if it just sold?
A package store?
Yes.
Then we would look at the package store and how it would look at the zoning.
But that's kind of just been my main question is, there's one across the street that sells the exact same thing that is zoned. My main concern is when you change that,
not exactly
like
the
as a
same.
blanket.
It's not exactly the
But
same.
they all sell vapes.
But that's not exactly the same. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a vape and tobacco only. And
The one you're
does it-
referencing, I believe, is a
Right.
convenience store?
So if they, like I think we had the same conversation before, if they sold T-shirts in there too, and it said retail.
That could be a remedy for them. That's for their decision to make.
Right.
So.
It's just.
Well, what's the history of, you say there's not many that do stand alone as a vape store? Is that what
Correct.
you're saying? How many was before when there wasn't vaping? Standalone cigarette sale by the, I remember one, actually, that just sold cigarettes.
I have no idea.
Or Skull.
Not relevant to the discussion.
No,
that
I
we're
just
talking
wonder,
about.
we got to get our facts somewhere. But because again, this is new type stuff, this vaping. Go ahead.
Okay. So then we went to 318 and discussed retail sales and
Vaping, not
service.
tobacco, by the way.
And what falls into retail sales and service.
Hold on, back up a second, please, sorry. So we're still in the CN zoning district, commercial use categories.
So this doesn't.
Where are you going with this? Tell me highlight your high points on your argument on this, or is it, you're gonna tell me it's the whole thing? Give me the Cliff Notes versions, I guess, Aaron.
So this is where we look at land uses, what are they doing, and where do they fit? And if you look on here, rarely is there anything that says that this has got to be X zoning district, except when you get down here to some of the exceptions, and it is not all encompassing, as we've all discussed. We've had land uses that have come on since 2000 that our zoning ordinance does not address. So repair and service of household consumer motor vehicles, light and medium trucks, classified as industrial service. Sales, retail, heavy trucks and equipment, classified as wholesale trail. While it still fits a retail sales and service component, they're saying those are exceptions that need to go to other classifications.
That's what that's saying?
That's what number 4 is saying.
Okay.
So you see sales of farm and ranch supplies and equipment are classified as wholesale sales. 1, 2, and 3 are just examples of what retail sales and service, and does not say whether they go to general commercial, neighborhood commercial, office warehouse, office commercial. It doesn't say where they go. So we go back to the intent statement and says, so available commercial uses included a wide variety of office activities as well as a more limited range of retail trade and services aimed toward meeting the routine needs of residents in that neighborhood.
Right.
Not all neighborhoods, not some neighborhoods. What are the needs and what is limited? And that's where I have to interpret.
So where do you
those
go with the
items.
ones across the street that's not a neighborhood? How do you interpret that? You just use neighborhood? Okay, well, that's fine. What'd you say something has been added to since this, that,
Nothing has been added to that I'm aware of.
I mean, that needs, new stuff that's come on that needs to be added?
There are some things there are
What do you
land
mean?
uses within our community that we make interpretations on routinely. a few times a year
Right.
that don't fit our zoning ordinance.
Would you give me an example? Because, you know, this is the first time this has come before this board, as I've been chairman. Do you remember? And if you don't, that's fine.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of what,
Yeah.
I've only done this one and well, the other one is, they're called BESS, Battery Energy Storage Systems. So fairly new technology.
Okay.
Where do they fit in our zoning ordinance?
What was your ruling on that?
My ruling was that they fit in heavy manufacturing.
Okay.
As opposed to light manufacturing or office warehouse or something of that nature, because our ordinance does not speak to those.
Okay, so
It's,
you ruled on that, you
Very
won?
similar to a solar farm. Our ordinance doesn't speak
Sure,
to a
sure.
solar farm within our city limits. Probably got to fit
Well, the
commercial or
vaping of
industrial.
tobacco's new,
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
Yeah, and, so,
So, these
good.
are uses, this is a new slide, so let me point that out. You have not ever seen this slide before, it's brand new. So one of the questions y'all asked last time was what are other things that we look at? So uses generally considered retail sales and services, but not allowed by right in neighborhood commercial. Now, this first one seems like a trick, but it's not. So I want to make that clear. So this is talking about alcohol beverages sold for consumption on premises, a bar. It doesn't say bar, but that's what it means. It doesn't mean package store.
And/or restaurant.
And then the extra part says that certain restaurants that serve beverages as provided as a supplemental service are an exception. So they would fall in neighborhood commercial. The reason being, there's more oversight at a restaurant where alcohol is being sold. And so they feel like since it's also a smaller volume as to just a bar, and there's more oversight, it's appropriate for neighborhood commercial. Interesting.
This, I'm sorry,
Yes, sir.
this further underscores your point of alcohol and food, alcohol and something, as
Yes.
opposed to a beer barn that
Just a-
just does alcohol. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, the key point on this one is on-premise consumption.
Understood.
So that's different than a package store that you walk in, drive in, and pick up a package and leave.
will these vape stores allow on-site consumption when they're in the building? I don't know the rules.
I don't know.
Yeah, do you? No, I don't either, but, you know, I had the habit with the old style, and there I have it.
So
Okay.
interestingly enough, commercial parking lots are not allowed by right in neighborhood zoning, or in neighborhood commercial zoning. You can't just have a parking lot, you have to have a business with it. That was actually something new by reading the ordinance. Oh, okay. Equipment rental, now I think that probably fits, if you're thinking about equipment rental, you're thinking about those big pieces of equipment. So I would say, you know, under that retail sales and service, it kind of said, well, those probably are warehouse or wholesale trade or something like that, as opposed to retail sales and services. Vehicle washing, whether it's an automatic car wash or a detail shop, they're not allowed by right in neighborhood commercial. And then manufacturing by artisan. So if you made jewelry, you made pottery, you made something that's craft by artisan, you're not allowed in neighborhood commercial either by right. Now, you can go through and do conditional uses and things like that, but you're not allowed by right, which I thought was very interesting, because I think we want some of those things in neighborhood commercial because they seem to be limited, they seem to fit a need for the neighborhood. And so that's some of my
You kind of think
genesis.
vehicle washing would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't they? Yeah. Hold on a second, back up. Where's this, I mean, I know where you're getting to. Does any of this strike against what they're doing, wanting? You know,
The-
commercial parking lots, is that a problem? Is that part of their issue?
Well, my example here is a commercial parking lot is a lot more safe potentially than a vape and tobacco only store.
That's
For
your,
the-
that's
for the
your argument.
neighborhood.
Okay, all right, go on. Anything else I'm missing? Is that the only bullet point? I see number one, but, it doesn't say anything about tobacco. Is that the only bullet point you're gonna use against this argument, or make your argument, or what am I missing? One, commercial parking lot, I asked, you gave me the answer. Equipment washing, does that have anything to do with?
These are uses that are already restricted in neighborhood commercial.
Okay, but you're making an opinion, and I'm wondering what you're using.
No, these are by ordinance. These are not
Yeah,
my opinion.
Yeah, but strikes against them, you said, commercial.
So if we restrict these, and I'm making a judgment decision on restricting vape and tobacco only, and I compare it to these, which one in the world of our community that I'm here to protect
Yes,
might be worse than the other?
okay.
It's back to the Sesame Street. Which one of these is worse than the other?
Well, it does say alcohol. It doesn't say anything about tobacco.
Correct, because
Okay, that's
these
fine.
are specifically
That's fine. That's fine.
for neighborhood commercial.
That's fine.
These, in our code of ordinances, are restricted in some way. Now, these may not be restricted in our zoning ordinance, but these are restricted in some way in our code of ordinance for the city of San Angelo. Alcohol beverages are restricted in some way. Secondhand good dealers are restricted in some way. Itinerant merchants are restricted in some way. Bingo games are restricted. Carnivals and vehicles for hire.
Okay,
Those are restricted in some way. Now, again, not the zoning ordinance, I will be very clear on that, but they are in our code of ordinances.
I don't see tobacco.
Because tobacco is not, smoking is, that's different.
Run that by me again.
In our code of ordinances.
Secondhand good, so you're using the secondhand goods dealer?
Smoking on public premises is.
Right, we have an ordinance against smoking. We do not have an ordinance against tobacco.
Now, which one, you're using all that for your interpretation?
I'm giving that examples of things that we as a city have chosen to restrict
Okay,
because we want to keep our city safe.
okay. You're right, I mean, the zoning's a policing action, I get it, but, I still don't see tobacco. So go on, that's
Okay.
what throws me. Well, that's why I'm here and you're there.
So here's the analysis that we talked about last time. Nothing has changed on this. It goes through. There's not a dispute on whether this is a retail sales and service business type. We believe it is. We also believe that it needs to be a limited retail sales and service type and limited based on the zoning district. And that's our interpretation, is that it's not congruent with the neighborhood commercial, but it does fit within the general commercial zoning districts as we have in our current ordinance today.
So if they had another activity in there, that would be, okay,
We'd be happy to evaluate it.
odds?
Be happy to evaluate it.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't we ask that same question this last time? Because I know that there's some other shops that I've gotten feedback on that actually sell like Cokes and candy, like other things that are not just utilized for the tobacco umbrella.
Correct.
So if they, I guess that's my question is, were they not willing to maybe put the sign on there that says we sell sodas and we sell gum?
I would let their applicant's representative talk about that. I have not had any conversations about that with them.
So you're not able to say what would be a slam dunk for them, get it through? That's what you're saying? If you did X, we'd prove it? And why is that?
Because we'd have to evaluate the application. What's
Well,
on
you
the
already
application.
have.
Correct.
Man, if
And
there was
this
something
is-
added to it in a slam dunk that meet the intent of this, you don't have any recommendations what it would be for an applicant?
I can't predict what an applicant may want to put on an application
What-
when
can
it
you-
comes to
can-
their
can
uses
you-
of their
but
business.
what- Well, can you just theorize or philosophize what would ease your heartburn?
I think if it goes back and speaks to things like this that says except for certain restaurants where such beverages are provided as a supplemental service, maybe the vape and tobacco is not the primary service, that it's a supplemental thing, potentially.
Okay, so if it is, okay, I think you got to my point. They would have to make it something more primary than vape.
Correct.
Okay. That's your interpretation.
So like the shop across the street, they do far more fuel sales than anything.
Do they?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they're a gas station.
Yes.
Well,
They're a package store.
Yes.
But that's a gas station.
Okay.
It's kind of
I'm
like
just trying to
normal
make
gas
it clear.
stations,
Okay.
Jack's, Town and Country, Alon, any gas station, majority of their sales is gonna be, just like a restaurant, majority of their sales is 51% has to be food. And under the 50-something% has, and then can be alcohol. Most bars are over 51%.
So with that, there's our recommendation. I know Ms. Bucher's here to speak for the applicant.
Mr. Vinoy, before we bring her to the dais, could you answer this question for me? We were passed around a roster of other vape and tobacco, quote, only shops, and one of them was in a community neighborhood zoned area. Can you re-educate me on why that precedence was there and if it has germane to this case?
From what we were able to look into for that property address, we were not able to find a reason that they would have had to come to the city to evaluate their status. Meaning, in this case, this property was vacant for 2 years. They came forward with a use under our ordinances that allows us to look at the land use. And in this case, when we did look at that, we made this determination. So any of the others that are operating currently, we did not see where the city would have had a requirement to review the land use that they were using.
So contrary to maybe or maybe not, there is no precedence despite being the one in operation in the CN zoning, correct? It was never needed to be interpreted, is what I'm asking.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. Any other questions?
Do you have the zoning map in your file there? When you put it up on the zoning map in your file?
I do have some, oops, sorry, wrong way. I do have some, those are the maps that we looked at last time.
I do have a question. Thank you, Mason.
They show where some CG, or CN is, excuse me, some CN is.
Can you go to the area we're talking about?
Well, there's this, are you talking about the very specific one we're talking about?
No, well, close to that area. I want to, because it confused me who decides what's CN or not.
That would have been city council when they adopted the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, if you go to this location here that we're dealing with today, I do remember I have some questions about that, and,
I don't have an image of this area specifically.
Okay, that's fine. It looks like that zoning needs to go away. I mean, most of it, but anyway, that's not my point. My point would have been is why wasn't the stuff that backs up to the Sherwood Way, why was Sherwood Way not CN?
You'd have to ask somebody in the past.
Yeah, and there was other areas. Why wasn't CN put there when there's nothing there? It's just so random. I thought, wow, okay. And it looks kind of almost like spot zoning.
Well, spot zoning is only if the underlying vision is not congruent. So neighborhood commercial, the vision plan that's congruent is neighborhood and commercial.
Okay.
So it goes across that gap, which is what there's supposed to be a nice transition between neighborhoods and heavier commercial, where they're at, whether that's general commercial or heavy commercial. You see here on the right side of this, I'm going to say that's probably Armstrong. That side is hopefully someday may go heavy commercial, general commercial. We also know in 2000, the city council said anytime you have the opportunity to get rid of general commercial, heavy commercial, get rid of it. The city staff, historically, not always, but historically, does not rezone other people's private property without conversations with them first.
The legislative part, the city council, we're the quasi-judicial.
Correct. You're deciding whether I made the right decision or not.
Right. And, but I just wanted a general comment on that zoning, how the CN, because, I know San Angelo, I've been around, I know everything, and I know when that was put in, but the CN came in before that was a C1? Before they changed it to CN, is that correct? Kind of the way the history of it, CN to C1? Now, you don't have to answer that. You really don't.
Well,
CN came, but
you pushed on it back in our one-on-one meeting, and so we did go back and look, and we did that with you there. So I want to make sure we put it on the record. Let me get to the right sheet here. Now I just have to go back and find the right sheet.
I could pick it apart like Claremore Heights. Why wasn't that done there? Why wasn't that done there? I could really.
So what I understand is that went to C1, at some point in its history, that piece of property. And then in 2000, when the 2000 ordinance came in, C1 automatically converted to neighborhood commercial. There was a zoning case that came forward to request to make it go general commercial in the past, and it failed.
In the 60s?
I think that was 69?
Yes. And that was a C1 zoning then, you think, assume?
Yes, and C1 zoning at the time was the lowest zoning, which is what, lowest commercial zoning, which is what neighborhood commercial is the lowest.
Did C1 address alcohol or tobacco?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'd have to go back to that zoning ordinance and
In
look.
1969, it didn't matter because you couldn't purchase everywhere.
As what?
I
You
think we
couldn't
were dry at
purchase,
that time.
so, yeah.
Yeah,
But I was just gonna say-
going to C1, you said it duplicated it, nothing was changed, and so I guess in C1 zoning had the same stuff, requirements, tobacco was not mentioned in C1.
I think that's true.
Okay.
So, and the CN is, as Mr. Benoit said, that is the easiest commercial, I mean, it's the closest that you can get. So a lot of times it's used as a buffer around the residential.
Well, yeah,
And it's not
that's
allowed
inconsistent.
into heavier
But it's
commercial
inconsistent.
uses.
Look, that's why I wanted the bigger view. I was gonna ask, what about this and what about that, but that's germane. You know, there's a lot of areas that Claremore Heights, I don't know if this still what's called, Claremore Heights and all that stuff in there that, you know, there's
So that usually
there's
goes,
houses next to commercial, you know, and right, it's germane.
that usually goes to planning commission, I think, and then whenever it's redone or remapped or whatever,
Yes.
then they go
Yes,
through all
and
that.
I agree with that,
Yeah.
but this is their next is district court. They can't go up the food chain and work it back down. The district court's gonna cost them a lot of money. So I'm gonna use my due diligence on this.
Absolutely.
Because I already feel I know how the vote's gonna go, but that's germane to it too. But anyhow,
I did give you the research about some other cities
Yes, sir.
that are dealing with vape and tobacco. Now, please understand, those are zoning ordinances. And we don't have those in our zoning ordinance, so I
Is it
recommend
germane?
not,
I
I
mean, I love the
recommend
word.
not
Thank you.
using that as your decision maker because it doesn't apply to this case.
Yes.
But you asked the question, in fact, our legal team helped us find that information of what cities are doing that. And so I do think there's a conversation to be had in the future about what does our city want to do with this? And I know was one of your main points, of that needs to be done first, but
legislative,
we're not there yet.
I know.
We're here, and based on the applicant's request, they requested to go through this
I know,
process.
I know.
So they've,
And that leads to this question. I did watch the timeline. They started this in,
October.
no, I think it was 8. Wasn't it 8, the
Well,
month of 8, August?
They started their
That was
request for,
And I never seen, I didn't know, y'all had that checklist. They did their due diligence and got everything worked out with the fire marshal, with all the stuff that they required, and they checked off, and all this planning thing was the thing that kept on stopping them. Why did it take so long to get it to here?
you'd have to ask them.
Well,
Our comment's been consistent from the
but in their
beginning.
email, I did read some of their emails, and they were pleading for staff to respond back. They haven't heard anything, and things like that. And like I said, that stuff was hard to read because it was so disorganized, and
Yeah.
I don't think that was, if you took that to a court, that disorganized, they would throw you out.
As you know, everything has to be in writing, and email's not really writing, and we've told that to them multiple times that they needed to reach out in writing.
And
they did,
I understand
finally.
everything, but this went from 8, the month of 8, and they satisfied everything else on the requirements, but from day one, it was plannings, from the get-go, it looked like to me.
So you would hope they would talk to us day one.
Focus on the topic. If you want to talk about our processes and if we need to improve those, we'll talk about those at a separate time.
So, my question would be on, is the applicant and city open to like a conditional use?
There's not a process in our zoning ordinance right now for that unless planning commission and city council says so.
Thank you.
They're the only ones that can adopt ordinance. We can't create it.
Oh, just conditional use?
Oh, okay. Let's see, I'm thinking if I had any more, I'm trying to remember what I read on that timeline stuff. It looked like they'd satisfied the fire marshal and everybody else, and y'all were the last ones to satisfy. Okay, that's fine.
Possible.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it looked. Okay. Satisfy the requirements or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, for the building permit.
Yeah, yeah.
Good afternoon, ZBA. My name is Hillary Bucher. I represent the applicant here. I'm with Dorado Construction Group, and we are at South Chadburn. So I'm actually going to use the clicker and go back through some of this. There's a couple of things, I'm going the wrong way. There's a couple of things that I want to point out in this. Okay, excuse me, bear with me. This is not the same clicker. Okay, so this was the original the original interpretation. So the original interpretation said that vape and tobacco only in the neighborhood commercial zoning district is not an immediate neighborhood need. I would argue that fact. I think I would state that that is clearly not the case. We're seeing these places pop up at every corner. So we're seeing vape and tobacco. You see them along the major streets. I saw one just brand new open up on Oaks. The only reason this particular applicant came forward is, again, their electricity needed to be turned on. So that's the reason we're seeing this, but they're opening up everywhere. So there is a neighborhood need. You see them popping up more like convenience stores. So that does show the need is out there. That's one thing we use to demonstrate need is the businesses, if there is a need, businesses will fill that. So there is a need in our community. The CN zoning district would not be appropriate. The other thing they mentioned was parking. Now, I did not reprint out all the pictures I presented last time. I mean, I think we still have those on file here somewhere, but the parking, I went at different times of the day. I went all hours of the day. I went morning, afternoon, evening. I don't know that I ever took a picture on a weekend, but the majority, there is one shop that does see a higher volume. That is probably Avenue N, and there potentially is one on Beauregard. Those two shops are the same type of shops. They see a higher traffic count through my visits to site, but the rest of them, I saw maybe one car every time I went by. There's several of them that I drive by daily. So the way I come in is on South Chadburn from south of San Angelo. So there's a couple along my path that I travel to daily. And at those points, multiple times a day, there was one car there. So I want to address those 2 points for sure, that I don't believe traffic is going to be an issue. Again, this was a car dealership. So there was cars parked there all the time. So those are two of the points there.
That's basing your argument on that point of foot traffic or traffic?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
This was visual. I was driving by several times throughout the day, afternoon. I did take pictures. Those are the ones we presented last time.
Yeah,
Throughout town.
I remember seeing the pictures.
I went to North Chadburn. I went out Sherwood Way. I went to Knickerbocker and South Chadburn. So trying to do my research here. I don't want to lead you guys astray.
So it's
This is-
basically all anecdotal.
It's what, I'm sorry?
Anecdotal, I mean, opinion, there's nothing official,
He said
fact-driven.
Okay. Yeah, so this is based off my observations, but I have no
It is too.
detailed traffic counts. But again, I did take the pictures. There's about one, maybe two cars in most of them throughout the day. So on this one, the CN zoning district, it is there to promote character, and we're trying to keep this local. I will say this is a very small footprint of a shop. So especially going to this next one here, I know the one Mr. Benoit pointed out was the, let me see if I can work this thing, the limited range of retail services. This building is under 2,000 square feet. And most CN zoning districts, that's what they take, is smaller businesses. I believe the difference between the CN and CG partially is total footprint. So with CG, you see larger businesses, even Walmart Neighborhood Market. I mean, those are the kind of things you think about when you think about CG. Car dealerships, larger general commercial. This is a very small, I believe it's 1,300 square feet. I could pull it up, maybe 1,500. It's a very small lot. They did, as Mr. Cortez was saying, when they began working through their process with the city, they met all the regulations. They were about to get their permitting, and that's when they were told they were not allowed. So they went through months of trying to get through the process. And the very last comment was, you cannot do this. So they did meet the parking standards that are required through the zoning ordinance. So that is one thing that was a big hurdle for them to overcome. Again, this speaks to meeting the routine needs of residents.
Can I interrupt?
Of course.
So the first argument was over parking?
I thought it was loud. Sorry.
No, I wasn't telling you.
No, you're good. I can finally
I'm
hear.
sorry, that wasn't very proper on my
No,
part.
no, I'm sorry.
Well, the first argument by planning was over the parking?
Yes, it says when it comes to.
But they already knew it was a freestanding vape store? Sells vape only?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And they said it was parking, and y'all overcame that, and now it's, Okay.
I'm sorry, the statement in the interpretation is potential traffic.
at the beginning. Is that correct?
Chairman, are you asking about the plan review?
I guess, like I said.
No, we had no dispute about parking on the site for that business. As Ms. Bucher is correct, it is a small store. I think it only took 4 parking spaces.
When did they know we were gonna have to go through this interpretation?
When they requested it.
At the very beginning?
Our comment was on there. We can look at the workflow report and see what date it was put on there,
Well,
but
she's saying no.
they've had that comment since the very beginning.
Do y'all have it in your
No,
file?
no, sir. In the workflow from the program that the city uses, there was comments, they were working with a planner throughout the first part of the comments. They started, I don't remember if it was August, but they started early on. I'm gonna call it early fall. This comment and this interpretation came in November.
Yeah. Well, I'm going fact driven here. Do you have it?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll present it to Mr. Benoit.
Once again, at this point, the time frame is not.
Rick, I understand and I respect you, and I respect
You've
you,
got to focus on the facts that you can.
and I
decide
respect your
today.
position.
If you have processed things, we will talk with Ms. Bucher, and you can come to that meeting and we'll talk about those.
No, I have what is a quasi judicial responsibility.
I have a question.
All the facts.
And let me go back. We'll
All
get
the
off the
facts for
timeline.
the case.
Let's not go on the timeline. Let's move on from the timeline. What my question is here is this right here speaks directly to our point. This is a limited range of retail. It is a small retail store. Services aimed toward meeting the routines of the residents in the neighborhood. I think that's one of the statements that Mr. Benoit pointed out as why he was not allowing it, but I believe this does allow it. I think this meets what exactly this is intended for. If you're trying to pull out vape shops because you don't like them, that is not what I'm reading. I'm reading the facts of the zoning ordinance. When the planner gets the zoning ordinance, and you open up the zoning ordinance, and someone comes to you and says, I would like to put a Christmas tree lot on, you have to go to these ordinance, and you have to go to section 315. And you have to find the closest one that meets. Planners, I was a planner. Planners don't have the ability to make up new categories. So every time a new one comes in, again, Christmas tree lot's probably not in the zoning ordinance. So you have to go to 315 and see where it falls. So my assumption is that that's where we got to this problem. Go ahead, I'm sorry, I don't.
No, that's okay.
I have a
was
point-
just
I have a
gonna Go
question.
ahead and remind you about the time.
Sorry.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Number one, you spoke of going around town and seeing vape shops only, quote unquote. Are we speaking of kernels? Because that's not commercial zoned. Are we speaking on Oaks? What are these zones
Avenue
that
Inn, I
these
think
vape
is what
shop
she said.
onlys?
Yeah, so that was the list, that list that I passed around last time, and we can reprint it out.
Right, no,
That-
and that's what I asked Mr. Vinoy, like, the only reason that that's operating in a commercial zone is because they have not needed to come here to appeal
Valid.
mhm.
Very valid, yes, sir. The reason I was using those is I was determining parking. One of their arguments in staff's interpretation was parking. I'm sorry, I didn't make that very clear.
That's okay. I'm not disputing a need for vape and tobacco. I personally don't vape and tobacco. I'm curious and apprehensive as to the area at which it only is taking place.
Yes, sir. And that's, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, if you'd allow me additional time, that's kind of where I was going.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so when you get a new use, you go to section 315 if it's commercial, and you find where it fits, where it's the most alike. So if we go forward here, let's just skip a little bit here. This again is 315. This is the section you would go to as a planner to decide. So you go to, I'm sorry, that was 315, it's 318. So 318 is, I think, again, we're not arguing this is where it belongs. I think that's staff's idea is that that's where it belongs. What they're trying to do is insert an exemption without going through council. That's my words, please understand that. So I think that everyone agrees it's retail sales and service. Retail sales and service is allowed in neighborhood commercial. Again, I believe what staff is trying to do is create the exemption that does not exist in the current zoning ordinance, which would be done by council.
Correct, but we asked you the last time when we said retail sales and services, are you going to be selling anything other
Well-
than tobacco? And then that was our main question. Are you going to have retail?
Yes, so there's other things, but they're not, I don't know the mix, I don't know the percentage, but I did just text the owner, they are gonna sell snacks, they're gonna sell drinks, I don't know the percentage breakdowns. But this is, I would say it's more a vape shop than it is a convenience store, but it is very similar to a convenience store. So as a planner, you look at this, you say, okay, are they involved in retail sales of products or entertainment, or do they provide? So this is what we meet is retail sales and service. So had the owner gone in just requesting retail sales and service, again, they just got more specific. And so they are retail sales and service per the zoning ordinance. And I don't think Mr. Vanoy is arguing that. What he's trying to do is create an exemption that does not exist by his interpretation. So again, there are exemptions here, you can read them.
Why do you say that? When Mr. Vanoy said that it was gonna be the primary, using that other one that he didn't show with alcohol, you have a restaurant in there, it would be allowed, because most of the food would be, most of the sales would be food, or across the street, most of the sales are gas and things like that, but most of the sales are gonna be vape here, so your argument is on that, even though it's gonna be the main one, that it's not being addressed in here.
So retail sales and service is a big bucket,
Yes,
and it houses a lot of different things.
but this says limited retail sales, right?
This one does not.
CN, does it limited?
The
But I
intent-
can.
No, you're
that's
fine.
supposed to-
Let me say this real quick, Gary, maybe this will help. The intent statements of the CN zoning district, so that is like the overall, the big summary of why we created CN, does speak to limited retail. This is the bucket where you're trying to decide what use category it falls into. And again, this is big. It can be a lot of different things. This does not specifically say Christmas tree sales at all. But if someone came to us, this might be, I mean, I haven't looked at all the pieces, but we might say, okay, they're selling Christmas trees, so we would say they're retail sales and service. Maybe maybe it's indoor Christmas trees, that helps my argument, but they're an indoor building, they're gonna sell artificial Christmas trees, they're retail sales and service.
If you're along that line of thought, follow me here.
Okay.
I would argue that a Christmas tree is more applicable to the neighborhood than a vape and tobacco only.
True, I'll go along with that, but I'm trying to get back to the part where you had alcohol in their restaurant.
Okay. So
part,
in-
And it said that it's allowed, would be allowed in CN because they're selling food?
So
And then didn't the comment come after
I
that,
think
that
that's
would be?
maybe the next slide.
It's in the use table.
It's in a use table. and
So
it has
it's
to
not
be a
actually,
package
let me say
type.
this,
Right.
it's in the use table. If you go to the use table in the zoning ordinance,
Yeah, I
there
agree.
are things that are called out. Again, there's
Yeah.
different pieces, the zoning ordinance is very complex.
Well, I know, I get
So-
all that, I really don't need to go there, I get it. Again, tobacco is not addressed in any of this, but he brought up the alcohol, and it would be allowed because food's being served. When I said that, it said, I asked why, he said, because more than likely, food will be the big sale, just like across the street, I think you brought that up, that gas is the bigger sale.
Yes.
So here in tobacco issues,
Let me say this.
Okay.
That does not, what this is a bar. And Aaron said that in the most, I mean, it doesn't say that.
You said it's a bar?
This statement right here is intended to be a bar. This is on-premise consumption. So it would prohibit a bar. It would not prohibit the sale of alcohol. This piece right here in the use table would prohibit the bar.
That's what Aaron said.
Yes,
Yes,
that's what Aaron
okay.
said.
I'm
So
going
this
back
is
in.
not the sale of alcohol.
Right.
This is a
Right.
bar. This is, I just think down the road, Parrot's Head. This is.
On-premise
Yes,
consumption.
on-premise consumption. So please.
Okay.
I
Thank
don't
you,
want you to
thank
get-
you, thank
yeah,
you, thank you.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's not the
I get it.
sale, it's a bar.
Gotcha. It's just, so you're saying tobacco is allowed because it's allowed and, okay, I got it. But even though it's not addressed, and is it on premise? Is it allowed on premise? Tobacco, vaping allowed on premise?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're probably not in you can't smoke inside the building. That's not, I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
city ordinance.
that's a city and potentially a state rule. I don't know all the details, but, I'm sorry.
No,
Let's go.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. We're getting all this discussion out, so it's good. So I think again, the determination is this is retail sales and service. I don't think anyone is arguing that. What we're trying to do by this interpretation is create an exemption, which is something normally city council would do. They would go in there, revise the zoning ordinance, and create an exemption. Mr. Vinoy has done it by creating an interpretation of the zoning ordinance to that fact. So the next slide here, again, we don't.
Let me back you up.
Okay.
What is your proof that this normal situation where's your fact based on this normal legislative or city council side of things?
Well, my experience with the
Okay.
city planning division,
Okay.
when you have rules that are enacted, they are done through ordinance.
Okay.
And they're done at the city council level.
Okay.
So
Why
if
do
the
you-
zoning ordinance would need to be amended, we'd normally go to planning commission for one reading, and then we'd go to or city council for 2 readings, as any ordinance would.
Yes.
So that's how you would normally revise the zoning ordinance, and that's probably the way it should be done if we want this to be a permanent rule. This applicant got stuck in kind of a no man's land where the interpretation was made without previous knowledge. Again, if you drove around town and looked at where they're currently located, he's probably thinking, oh yeah, I'm good. Again, it was a car dealership, and it could be a lot of other heavier uses.
I understand that thought, but as you drive around town, those are not CN zoned areas.
Not all of them, that's correct.
And also, when
This one was
he
though, right?
purchased that building
When it was
from a real estate side,
car lot, it was CN zone.
he would have been able to have that information privy to him on what.
Correct.
The zoning?
Zoning would have been on a commercial
Correct.
building.
And before this interpretation, you would have assumed by the fact that everyone would have considered this retail sales and service that it would have been
I don't ever
allowed.
assume in real estate, because you never know.
Yeah.
No,
But
it's a hot button.
at that same time, whoever would have been representing him should have had that access to know what zoning that would have been in. And it is public knowledge to actually
Correct.
look it up
The
and
zoning would
see.
be. This rule was made up, or this rule was formulated after the property was purchased. This is a new rule.
No, it was a CN.
That's correct.
When the property was purchased.
That's correct.
It wasn't formed after the property.
That
was
is, you are
purchased.
very correct. At the time, though, vape and tobacco would have been allowed. This interpretation disallowed it.
Okay, so what you're saying is the interpretation has come up, but the actual zoning was there the whole
That's
time.
correct. Yes, ma'am. The zoning has
Yes.
been there for
Right,
quite a
that's
while.
what I wanted to clarify, we were on the
So if
same
a
page.
realtor would have come to a planner and said, hey, we're gonna open up a vape shop, I would have
Or
looked at
a
it as retail
retail
sales and
shop.
service. It was the director's interpretation that made it illegal, or that made it disallowed.
I see.
So that the planners would not have known that. Again, planners don't have the capability to make up or any interpretation or any rules. They have to go off what is based in the zoning ordinance. So if this owner would have come to a planner and said, hey, is this allowed? They would have I would say 9 times out of 10 said yes, and not even questioned it. Because this was retail sales and service up until November of this last year, in everyone's mind.
Until it wasn't retail.
Until it wasn't, yes, ma'am, until
Okay.
the director
So
made.
you redirected it and it wasn't technically retail sales and services.
Well, it is still retail sales and service. They're saying it is a specialized retail sales and service that should not be allowed.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. You answered my question.
Yeah.
So I will say, in closing, I'm going to wrap it up. I got a little off of where I was starting and finishing. But in closing, I will say, the arguments that were used against the tenant, I don't believe are valid. It does serve a community need. I understand if you like it, don't like it, that's a different discussion for us to have another day. The parking was taken care of, it meets the zoning ordinance. The signs were another issue that was brought up. They all have to meet the sign ordinance. There's no exemptions to the sign ordinance that are being requested. So they'll have to meet the sign ordinance, they'll have to meet the parking ordinance. It's a very small building with a limited retail sales. They're asking to overturn the director's decision. If, in a grander sense, this needs to be a revision to the zoning ordinance, it could be done, again, through planning commission and zoning, and the city council through an ordinance change. So we are asking that you overturn the director's decision and allow this in retail sales and service again, as it has been for up until November of this last year. And if anyone has any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I don't, very good, by the way, very good presentation.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
have any-
I appreciate it.
I don't, okay. Both of y'all, by the way, very good presentations. Here's our quasi judicial hat on here. Let me put my hat on here. All right. Get all the paper out of the way. Now I'm gonna open it up for public comment. Right?
That should have been the public comment section,
comment?
and that was the only public comment that we
Okay, I'm
had.
gonna close public comment. Now we're gonna, the board's gonna visit. Board commentary. What hasn't been asked? What hasn't been said? What have we missed? Is it retail sales?
Yes.
Okay.
But there's not a precedence for this type, this vein, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I agree. That's why.
And I would hate to be setting precedents.
Well, I think it needs to be.
Or not
kicked-
setting
Yeah, I know, me too. I try to get this stopped from the get-go.
Which is fine. I mean, again, it doesn't exist in commercial zoning. Colonel's is not in a CN zone. All these vape shops that were brought for us are not in CN zones. They are in other zones.
Mm-hmm. This is the first time this has been tried.
Correct.
Under the retail sales
Correct.
umbrella.
Yeah, under vape and tobacco only, to put it
Yes,
another way.
yes, which is.
They do not exist. You know, the Oaks one that was cited is probably not, I'm not speaking factually, it's not in a commercial zoned area, Aaron.
No, it's in CGCH.
There you go. And so I would hate for this board to open it up for, I don't know, not assault, but you get the point, for
Yes,
criticism.
and I don't
When
think
the
that.
precedence is already here.
Yes.
And all we're doing is, I'm sorry.
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know.
I understand. I get it. I just want to make sure I'm clear. You know, clear.
That would be my biggest.
Yeah, and I felt that way from day one. I with you there. That's fine.
And the only reason one does exist is because they've not had to go through this process. And
Yeah, they drove the lucky.
Correct.
Unlucky.
Correct. That's so there is no, that is not a precedent. So I throw that out of
Yes.
this discussion.
Yes. So, what about the thought, though, that this needs to be a city council decision?
Unfortunately, I don't think unfortunately, the buck stopped with us
Yeah.
in this decision.
Yes.
There's nothing keeping
Yes.
city council from rendering like they did in Pflugerville and city of Kyle and all these others, but today they're not.
Yes.
I would seriously hope that
So we're
after
not.
all this
Yes,
discussion.
yes.
And all this stuff that we've talked about,
I wasn't on.
that city council and staff and everybody else would have in mind to do something more official than what we have to deal with in the zoning law.
I was not
There's
on this I'm sorry. Don.
got to be something that addresses specific issue in the future. Granted, we have to deal with this as it is now, which in my personal opinion is rather woefully understated in any of the documents we've been given. And in the future, something needs to happen to address it.
Mm-hmm.
Is this not
We
what
will
happened?
deal with what we have right here.
Correct. The last time this happened was short-term rentals, if I'm not mistaken, right? I was not a part of this board or ruling body, but that was the last hot-button issue.
You missed all the fun.
I don't know about that, Don, so that's, but has since the city ruled on SRTs?
Yes, and,
Sort of, okay.
well, we have a new
Well,
ordinance.
So I think the last time that it came to this board, the interpretation was that you could not vary the 500-foot distance.
Okay.
This board ruled against that interpretation, and then after that, city council did amend the ordinance to make that not variable.
You're right.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't think we can speculate on what the city council will or
Oh,
will not
yeah,
do today.
no, but they are the legislative part of the process. And,
Disagree.
we are the judicial to decide. And again, point well taken on everything you expressed.
We can certainly make the statement that it needs to be addressed.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yes, sure.
That statement does
Totally
not.
separate from any of
Yes, sir.
this,
Yes,
we
sir.
can make the statement that this issue needs to be addressed elsewhere.
Yes.
Moving forward, yes.
Moving forward. Now, let's deal with what we have here.
I agree.
Yes.
Yes. But I'm, okay, board commentary over anywhere else? On this?
So I do think that, as stated, it is retail sale. And the trigger for all of this was the filling out the paperwork where he said what it was. It's going to be tobacco and vape shop. And so with that being said, that's what we have to look at. And I support Mr. Benoit's position, that he, interpretation.
So with that being said, I move that we uphold the city's position to.
I'm not ready
deny-
to do that yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Rivas, no comment?
He's not feeling well.
Yeah, he's going to the doctor. No, I don't, I think I agree from the last time we actually gave this opportunity for things to change and things to be amended in applications and so forth, which was a month ago. If that hasn't changed, I don't know. I mean, we have to go with the technical rule of how it's put out.
I'll just say this, I'm not about to yes, we are about to set a precedence.
We are.
Understood. But again, we have one kind of already in the sense that they're elsewhere. I mean, they are on Knickerbocker, they are on Oaks, they are on other zoned areas. And so I would just say that.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. I have no comment, I'm ready to
Yeah,
vote.
I'm not
Whatever the
anti-
motion is, I'll.
I'm not anti-vape or tobacco. I am anti-vape or tobacco in an improperly zoned area, I guess is what I would say.
Okay, it's for the record.
To put it succinctly.
Yeah, yeah.
So therefore, I move to uphold Mr. Benoit's recommendation to deny.
Okay,
Second.
second. Any more discussion? Let's go in favor, all in favor for the, motion to, deny the applicants and go with the,
I think it's to appeal what has been
yeah, we know what all this is.
interpretation.
I'm brain fogged now, so,
Yeah.
we're gonna vote on the motion. So that's all in
As-
favor of the
as
motion
stated,
made
yeah.
by, Mr. Brooks, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. All right. Oh, gotta take a breath here.
So one,
It
5-1.
did 5-4, 5-1, 5-4, 1 again.
So to overturn the interpretation takes the 6-0 vote in our case right now, but that was to uphold. So, I mean, it would be upheld if you didn't get 6-0 in favor of overturning it.
I don't know what
So,
you're saying. I mean, I just voted by
So
what
it-
I felt.
so it
I don't
didn't
care what,
pass.
I don't care what it,
right? It did.
yeah,
didn't
I mean, so the interpretation is upheld unless y'all would make a motion and get a 6-0 vote to overrule the interpretation. That's the only way
the
it could.
vote's been made.
Yeah.
I'm moving on to the
Yeah.
next item.
Yeah, so,
The vote's been made.
That's what I was clear.
So it did
No,
not,
it doesn't matter.
The vote
it did
to-
not pass?
No,
The,
it didn't.
okay,
So your motion did not pass.
okay.
That's what I was clear.
no,
So
so,
that's not what Brandon's saying.
I
so
know, that's what
to
Brandon was saying, to
overrule
overrule
the
his
director's
You
interpretation.
want another
Another
vote?
motion has
No,
to
no,
be-
no, hold, hang, just a second.
Is it over?
I think it's over unless y'all came up with another
Y'all
motion
discuss-
to
y'all
overrule,
discuss-
but that's not gonna
Y'all discuss amongst yourselves how it went. I don't care. That's my vote.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah. So the interpretation is upheld, yes, 5-1, but y'all mentioned the 6-0 thing, and I'm just clarifying that 6-0 is to overrule his interpretation, which that didn't happen, so.
A whole nother vote. So your vote, another motion, another vote.
Yes. So all we did was vote to not deny it, okay? But to overrule what he said and to change that has to be a completely another vote.
Oh, that's what I said at the beginning. We need to start over. Okay, let's start over. Why do I need to know all this? I mean, I'm ready to move on to the next one. I'm done with this.
And I guess, Chairman, you could ask, are there any other motions on this item? If there are no other motions on this item, then let's move forward.
If there's,
Well, I'm ready to move forward.
if you don't do any
Most
other-
of the board is in favor. I wasn't. That says it. Let's move on.
So what he's asking is, do you have any other motions?
Oh, do you have any other motions?
Gary, it's been a long afternoon.
It has been. It's been a long
So,
study.
they're gonna ask, do you have any other motions that you want? that
Oh, you
anyone
want me to
wants
make a motion? I'd put a motion to overturn it. How's that? Well, I'm gonna get, what, another vote the other way? 1 to
That's
5?
what I'm saying, is do you want another vote on the table?
No,
That would-
I'm gonna move on. That's it. Move on to the next item.
Point of order, I'd like it noted in the record that it's very difficult to Rule 6-0 and that we are imploring city council to get our 7th member.
Yes, sir. We are working with that. They do have one for appointment on Tuesday's agenda, and that will help. And then we are talking with the 2 positions to nominate for the 2 alternate positions. So the mayor and the mayor pro tem get to nominate 1 each for those, and we're hoping that will come forward soon so that we can get them onto ZBA board and be able to have enough members to hear cases appropriately. And so there's not that overwhelming feeling of we have to be unanimous or not. So I understand that.
Let's keep the director's rulings to a minimum.
I only make them if asked.
Thank you.
Division report, we don't have any division report today. We knew it would go long today. Other than, as Mr. Brooks pointed out, we do have a new ZBA board member that should be joining us if they get approved at city council on Tuesday. And then Austin Reed will be working on his orientation and getting him up to speed, and hopefully by, what is that, next month, April? You'll see them at the April meeting, and we'll have them introduce themselves and go from there. Thank you.
Item 6, next meeting agenda, next regular meeting, zoning board of adjustments is scheduled to begin at 1:30 PM on Monday, March 3rd, 2025 in the City Hall East Mezzanine Meeting Room. And item number 7 is, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I will second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.